All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is July 28th, and it is our regular City Council meeting at 3 p.m. We're first going to start with our invocation from Pastor Jason Garcia from North Coast Church. Thank you, sir, for coming. Then we're going to have our flag salute from Abigail Rivers and roll call following. If everybody can please stand. How are you, sir?
Hi. Thanks for having me. I invite all you guys and everyone behind me, if you guys are willing, please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and for the opportunity to come together. Thank you for the men and women in front of me who have stepped forward to serve Temecula. Father, we know that leadership isn't always easy, so we ask you that you give our leaders the wisdom, discernment, and courage to pursue what is right, even when it is difficult. Father, I pray that when there are difficult opinions around this room today, that you stir in us a desire to listen and to have a genuine respect for one another. Help everyone here work together with humility and grace, keeping the needs of our community above personal interest. May every conversation be guided by wisdom, honesty, and a shared goal to do what is best for the people they serve. Father, we ask that you bless the first responders, city employees, volunteers, businesses, and families who may or may not be here in the forefront today, but who make our community strong. May Temecula be a place where justice is upheld, compassion is shown, and hope continues to grow. We are grateful for the freedoms we enjoy and ask that you would help each of us to be faithful stewards of the responsibilities you have entrusted to us. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. I have some for you, Pastor. Thank you, sir. See you soon. All right. Next, I would like to ask Miss Abigail Rivers to come up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Hi, ma'am. If you want to pull that mic down so we can all hear your beautiful voice. Hands over your heart, please.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job, Miss Abigail. Come on up. I got something for you too, ma'am. I love your dress. Thank you, sweetheart. All right. All right, next we're going to go into roll call. If we can have the roll call, please.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Mayor Alexander.
Here.
Councilmember Kalfas.
Here.
Councilmember Ron.
Here.
Councilmember Schwank.
Here.
Councilmember Stewart.
Here.
Excellent. All right, that we're all here. Next, we're going to move into our presentations. Let me see. First one is going to be, as usual, our presentation regarding the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. Let me get the video on that one. All right, so this council meeting, actually a very good friend found it for me, and I was very grateful, and it's just so true. It's, what Benjamin Franklin had said is there's no better relation than a prudent and faithful friend. And this really resonated with me, and I absolutely wanted to move forward with this for a couple reasons. And you guys will all see in my council comments that how our sister city, Murrieta, and us will continue to work together in loyalty and friendship. And I'm just very grateful for that. So I'll kind of save that. But here in this quote, Benjamin Franklin states that one of the greatest relationships of a person can be a wise and trustworthy and loyal friend. And I hope and pray that each one of us have somebody like that in our lives. And looking at it from a leadership perspective, it's surrounding ourselves with people who will tell you the truth, help you to make good decisions, wise decisions, and remain loyal throughout challenges. Those friendships are among your greatest treasures. And I think in today's society, it's something we need, especially in government, being able to trust each other, having good relationships among our public and also our government officials. So I was very grateful for this quote, and that was that one. So next, we're going to move on to our presentations of certificates from our Temecula Dyson City program. Before we begin with that, I just want to welcome all of you here to our city council meeting here in Temecula, and it was an absolute pleasure to be with all of you this morning for our breakfast. And we're going to go into kind of explaining what this relationship has looked like over many years. So thank you for coming up.
Yes, of course. Thank you, and good afternoon, Honorable Madam Mayor Alexander and respected City Council members. My name is Isabel Morales, Community Services Coordinator and Liaison for the Sister City of Daisen, Japan in our program. The Sister City program connects communities across the world to foster international relationship, promote citizen diplomacy, and enrich our culture through meaningful exchange. It's an honor to stand before you today to introduce our youth delegation from our sister city, Daisen, Tottori, Japan. Our delegation consists of students from Nawa Junior High and from Daisen Junior High, Nakayama Junior High. At this time, I invite the chaperones of Daisen education representatives, Mr. Shigeki Murakawa and Mrs. Hikari Gunji, to greet you and share a few words with you.
Hello, Honorable Mayor Jessica Alexander, member of the City Council, and all of our supporters. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to welcome to us your beautiful city today. My name is Hikari Gunji, and I am honored to stand before you today representing the delegation from Daisen Town, Japan. Our sister city partnership with Temecula started in 1994, and we happily celebrated our 30th anniversary in 2024. This wonderful history brings us great joy and deep gratitude. Every summer, junior high school students from Daisen Town visit Temecula to deepen mutual understanding through cultural exchanging. In addition, our adult delegation have had the pleasure of visiting during your festive Christmas parade season, further strengthening our ties. We are deeply grateful for the warm hospitality you always extend to our visitors. Moving forward, we hope to continue to keep this precious friendship and to grow together toward a bright future. We especially look forward to young people playing a central role in these exchanges, carrying our bond of understanding each other and friendship into the next generation. As a small token of our deep appreciation, we have brought some gifts from Daisen Town for the member of the City Council. We would be honored if you would accept them. お願いします。正面から渡してください。
Should we stand up? Thank you. Here you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. はい。ありがとうございます。Once again, thank you very much for this valuable opportunity to address the Council today. We look forward to your continued guidance and support. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What I would ask at this point in time, we'll invite the council to come down for photos and also be able to give out the certificates, please.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and read the names of our delegation first. So we'll start with our students. So students, please come forward. So Yusuke Izawa. Amane Shirane. Sakura Nakashima. Riko Hayashibara, Megumi Tokuyasu, Aoi Kawakami, and now chaperones, Hikari Gunji, and Shigeki Murakawa. At this time, I also invite our 2026 host families to please come up. Yeah. Yeah. Ready to photo. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll have the students. Yeah, students go this way, and then host families come this way. So we have the Davis family. And the Chavez family. In 2025. They didn't make it. Okay, and now for our hosts from last year, 2025, we thank you as well. So we have the Hatchell family. The Lieberg family. The Min family. And the Scott family. And for 2026, we have the Ridbeck Sarmiento family as well. Okay, that's it. Okay, and then we'll take a group photo together. So everybody, if we can squeeze in a little bit.
Balance out.
We're gonna get in front of the dais, or the podium. Yeah, this thing.
Yeah,
So everyone come forward.
Yeah.
Like around.
So students.
Let's do the students right here. And then everyone just come close and surround it. So students right here, where the, perfect. You guys can stand up. You're good. Yeah. All right, and a great big thank you to not only staff, but all of those, again, who were involved, whether it is the young men and women who have come, whether it's the volunteers, the host families, everybody has been wonderful. So thank you, great work, and enjoy your time here in Temecula in our wonderful state. Thank you. All right. Anything you want to say? Or? All right, let's move on to our next presentation by Michael Alfred regarding evacuation plan update, if we can get an update.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, members of the council, city staff, and members of our community.
My name is Mike Alford. I'm the emergency manager for the city, and I just wanted to provide a brief update on where we currently sit with the city's emergency evacuation plan. The purpose of our plan was to develop something that was comprehensive, that would essentially enhance our community preparedness, strengthen that coordination that we have, and then establish a clear and concise framework for making decisions, communications, and recovery as it pertains to conducting evacuation operations across the city. What we're going to do is just talk about the need for a comprehensive plan, the current status of the plan development, the key elements that are incorporated into our plan, and those next steps that we are going to take to finalize, implement training, and then further carry on with the plan. The first question that we asked was, why is an emergency evacuation plan needed? Well, Temecula is a very vibrant and growing community, and one where its history needs to be protected. A successful plan requires more than just moving people from one location to another. It really is the coordinated decision-making effort, that timely public information that allows people to make an informed decision. Resources, transportation, a whole host of things really need to be brought together in a single environment in order for us to be able to effectively move people from an area that is under a threat to an area that is not. They're very complex. And with that, we've coordinated amongst our city departments, our fire provider, CAL FIRE Riverside County Fire, the County Sheriff Department, our regional transportation partners, community organizations, as well as residents and businesses. They've all been engaged and all have been included in this planning process. So what does this mean for Temecula? I put a quote together that stated, "The City of Temecula's emergency evacuation plan incorporates lessons learned from decades of wildfire response actions across California and adapts those best practices to the city's unique geography, our transportation network, and community needs. By establishing clear roles, coordinated decision-making processes, and a phased approach to evacuation and re-entry, the plan strengthens our ability to protect lives, maintain public confidence, and support a safe and resilient recovery from future emergencies." The plan goes and really discusses our hazard environment. And an effective plan requires an understanding of those hazards and how they can impact our community. The hazards that we see the most are going to be wildfire, and this is one of the most significant hazards that faces the region. We have threats from flooding, earthquakes, dam failures, and hazardous material incidents, as well as transportation-related incidents along the I-15 corridor. On the plan itself, we are about 95% complete. The plan is based upon 11 objectives that were established by the Planning Committee, and then that further builds our framework, which discusses our plan purpose, scope, and assumptions. We talk about our evacuation strategies, the factors that can affect those factors that reduce our network capacity, meaning our roadways, and then those actions that we as a city can take to help maintain that capacity. We have evacuation zones and routes of ingress and egress, which I'll talk about in the next slide. We go over the concept of operations, which heavily goes into the how we're going to conduct evacuation operations. We have a very robust section on reentry and repopulation process, and then demobilization following the completion of the emergency. Now, Temecula is broken down into 75 individual zones. Those zones are based upon population density, so some may be larger than others. With a map of 75 zones, it makes it hard to really drill down and identify those key routes in and out of your neighborhoods. So what we did is with these zones, we extrapolated a zone, as you can see in the middle of the graphic. We then took that and created a zone sheet for each individual zone that we have, totaling 75. And with that, each zone sheet includes a description, a hazard description, and threats to the area, followed by our traffic flow and control out of the area, threats and hazards, our evacuation strategy, we identify shelters and assembly points, and then we provide a couple of map chips with primary and secondary routes of egress out of the neighborhood. We don't do traditional evacuation routing because evacuation routing is really only meant for hurricanes and tsunamis. You go the opposite way the water goes. But with fires, that's very difficult. And if you have an identified area and somebody actually follows that route and sign, that could be problematic. So we removed the need for identifying specific routes. So we get the residents out of their neighborhood to a major thoroughfare and then allow the sheriff's department to carry on and move them with traffic flow. Under the operational components for the plan, we talk about the department-specific responsibilities. What coordination is incorporated for our EOC, the public information and alert and warning processes, our consideration for our access and functional needs populations within the community, and coordination with the partner agencies have all been incorporated into this plan. In a supporting fashion, we have checklists, agreements, and MOUs that are currently being drafted. We're working on our animal and livestock considerations because we do have 4 unique livestock communities within the city. What those transportation needs are going to look like from a whole community perspective, not just for livestock. What notification strategies we're going to use for the community, further going into that short-term transitional housing so that once we're done with the major sheltering operation, those that may have lost a home can then be transitioned into short-term housing. And then we have a reentry framework with a resident reentry program. This graphic here shows the 8 phases of the evacuation process and how this ties into the Ready, Set, Go campaign that is utilized by CAL FIRE. So it'll help the community better understand what phase we're in and what that pertains to when they get that alert that comes from our public safety partners, where it says ready, where it says set, and it'll say go. What phases that actually compares to in our evacuation plan. We've also incorporated the whole community, as well as our access and functional needs considerations for the population. Essentially, our plan is designed to focus on outcomes. Those outcomes, when we talk about preparedness, this is before the emergency, the plan's going to further improve what we're doing, define those evacuation responsibilities, provide the staff with clear actions and checklists, and enhance that coordination. For public awareness, this includes our important messaging and supports the use of our emergency alerts, social media, our city website, traditional news media, as well as consistent community outreach. Under the whole community approach, that makes sure that we're incorporating every specific population type that we have within the city. From those that have the homes that are super huge on the mountain to those that don't have a home. We encompass everybody because everybody who is evacuated deserves the same level of care as anyone else, and we'll make sure that happens. During that emergency, we make sure that the plan focuses on clear and concise messaging, clear and concise decision-making, coordinated operations, improved coordination throughout that process, and then further defining the responsibility of our staff and those partner agencies as they provide support to us. After the emergency, we have a structured reentry process that consists of damage and safety assessments, which must be coordinated through the city as well as our county partners, and restoration considerations for our community lifelines. If we can establish these lifelines, we can get the community back into their homes faster, so we can guarantee the safe return of those residents when the conditions allow. It also further reinforces our ability to provide that timely, accurate, and actionable information and using multiple channels to do so. When we talk about reentry, returning home after an evacuation requires just as much preparation and planning as leaving. It's a gradual, controlled, and coordinated effort. There's actually 4 phases that go into the reentry process. That is, the ones that we're going to focus on are going to be that restricted access, limited population, and full repopulation. This is where limited is where we allow our utility partners and others like that to get in to start restoring the utilities, because without the utilities, we cannot allow the residents to go back home. Those considerations include infrastructure safety, such do we have electricity, water, sewage? Is the road network able to handle vehicles traversing over it? Do we have gas? Have we taken care of any debris management responsibilities? Those things need to be looked at, planned for, and in process before we can allow the community to re-enter. Once we get to that point, we will activate that resident reentry program. Once the incident commander deems it safe and that we can transition to that, then we will start working with the community and allowing them to reenter through that process. We've been pretty busy over the last 13 months for community outreach. Our online engagement, we have a dedicated evac planning website. We've had a very robust Know Your Zone campaign. It's got its own dedicated website page as well. Tons of social media postings across various platforms between the city and our partners. We did a community survey, and we've had email communications with the community as well. For multimedia and print, we've had stuff on the Auto Center billboard. We've utilized our AM radio station, printed mailers from our partners. We've put up flyers, posters across the community, had that Know Your Zone campaign, and have an English and Spanish video of our community presentations. The Spanish one is almost finished. Once it's done, we'll get that one loaded up, and it'll be available to the community. We've had it advertised through city manager emails. Also email distributions through the Chamber of Commerce and our school district, the Rancho Water e-newsletter, the Rod Run, library readiness seminars. We were promoting this during the 4th of July and a wildfire evacuation or education and resource fair. We've gone to several HOA meetings, and we've done quite a bit of community outreach between our livestock HOAs, independent and assisted care facilities, our schools, both public and private, including the Springs Charter School System, Linfield Christian, and Rancho Christian schools as well. Moving forward, we're going to go through a final review by myself to make sure that everything is correct, numbered correctly. We've got the I's dotted and the T's are crossed. Then we're going to send that out to our partners and the executive team for a 30-day review. We'll return that plan, get those changes committed to the plan, and then we're going to put it out to the public comment for 30 days as well. Once that's done, we've got our presentation that'll go to the Planning Commission sometime in October or November, followed by a council presentation and adoption, hopefully in December of this year. Following that, we've got a staff training period, final revisions, and then exercise validation before we roll this out to the community, hopefully posted on the internet by 1 January. Barring any questions, that's all I have on our evacuation planning update.
All right, thank you so much for your presentation. Any questions from our council? Any comments, questions? Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Well, I'd just comment quickly. Thank you. This is a big, important step for Temecula to improve its public safety. I'd really encourage the public, when the public comment period does come out during that 30-day period, to take a look at your zone, your plan, what's being proposed, because nobody knows your neighborhood better than you do. And so we definitely need your feedback and input there in case there's some oversight or something that we may have missed. I know you've done a phenomenal job and expect very few of those comments to come back, but just make sure you do your due diligence as well. And it's a good time for everybody to get to know their zone and know what to expect in case there is an evacuation. Can't thank you enough for bringing this thing to fruition.
You're welcome. And for those community members that may not know their evacuation zone, they can go to our city website, go to Google Temecula Know Your Zone. It'll bring the site right up. You can put your address in, and it'll tell you exactly what your zone number is.
Okay, I think we have another comment. Go ahead, Zach.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Michael, thank you very much for the presentation. I appreciate all the time and energy and hard work into this. This is a big deal for our community. I had a couple of comments. So I really appreciated that you had heat as one of the disaster issues, right? I think it's often overlooked. And you mentioned wildfires, and those are those events that we know that's happening, right? It's going to continue to happen. But heat is one that kind of flies under the radar a little bit. But it's something that affects especially our elderly population and young kids significantly. So I'm glad we're talking about that. I think that's important. Secondly, I think that your office, the Office of Emergency Management, should have its own social media page. I think you can have a place where you can build trust with the community and be that trusted source. You can continue to put out this stuff, and then when an emergency happens, you're ready to go with, you're immediately out into the community, and our official City of Temecula social media is sharing it, it's getting shared. You've already, built trust in the community, and I think that's something that I'd like to see incorporated into this plan when it fully gets, materialized to the community. So just a comment, but great job, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, Brendan, anything, or, all right.
I do
Thank
have
you. Oh, wait, one more, I'm so sorry.
Is it on the app,
The plan?
the plan?
The plan's
Or
not
the
currently on the
zone.
app, but if you do, there is a button on the City of Temecula app
Okay.
where they can register for alerts now directly from the city app. And there's a disaster preparedness link that will take you directly to my site. And there's, on the left side of the menu, there's a Know Your Zone. Just click on that and it takes you right to the page. So through the app, 2 steps, you're right to where you need to be.
Okay, because that's important to me because I don't use a computer hardly ever. So as long as there's a way to link through the app, then that's great, yes.
Absolutely. You can
Perfect.
access all of our emergency management resources directly from the city app.
All right, thanks again for all your help. And do my council members know your zone numbers? You guys know it? I know mine. All right, well, we'll keep pushing that. Thank you so much.
All right, thank
All right,
you.
great job. There'll be a test next week or in 2 weeks from now. All right, public safety reports. County of Riverside Sheriff's Department, Mark Regali, I think you have a nice, beautiful report for us today.
Yes, nice and beautiful, ma'am.
Yes.
Mayor Alexander, council, city staff, members of the public, good afternoon. It's certainly a pleasure to be with all of you today. I have some stats for you and then a short report on e-bike and e-motorcycle, which continues to be a big issue in our community. I think we can all agree to that. So the first slide in front of you for the city of Temecula calls for service in June 2026. Our deputies handled 5,339 calls for service. It was a busy month, being pulled in a lot of different directions. You see there in the graph, again, our priorities 1, 2, 3, and 4. We had 59 priority 1 calls, just over 1,900 twos, 2,000 threes, and so on. Next slide, please. And here is the pie graph broken down on our response times for our priority calls. Priority 1 calls averaging 5.5 minutes response time to our priority 1s, our emergency calls. Priority 2 at 10, 16, and 21 respectively. Next slide, please. So I just have a brief report again on e-bikes and e-motorcycles that I wanted to share with you today. So I'd like to provide a brief update on our new e-bike program. Thanks to the city's support, 2 purpose-built law enforcement e-bikes were placed into service during the last week of June. They've been outfitted with emergency lights, a siren, and sheriff's identifiers, allowing deputies to safely perform enforcement duties while increasing their visibility throughout the community. Their primary mission is to provide proactive patrols along Temecula's trail system, parks, Old Town, and other areas that are difficult to access with our traditional patrol vehicles. Although the program has only been operational for about a month, we've already conducted 7 dedicated bike trail patrols from Old Town through the Santa Gertrudis Trail to Winchester Road and then on to Nicholas. During those patrols, deputies located an illegal encampment that was later removed, conducted 3 pedestrian contacts, provided outreach and resources during 5 community contacts, and issued 1 traffic citation. The e-bikes also proved valuable during the city's 4th of July celebration by allowing deputies to efficiently patrol the Ronald Reagan Sports Park and move through the large crowds that have been gathered there. Our goal is to conduct weekly bicycle patrols, weather permitting, to maintain a proactive law enforcement presence on the city's trail system. And I'll pause there momentarily to add that this has been a topic of conversation. The city has dedicated an enormous amount of resources to this trail system. And we understand that we need to occupy this space to make sure that it's safe for everybody in the community to be able to enjoy. That was its intent. And so I will say that we are dedicated to that effort, and we will continue to do that so that families, individual walkers, riders, whatever, can enjoy that space and not have to worry about it. I will say this, I ask you to please bear with us. It's always going to be a work in progress, and these things are fluid, but we are dedicated to making that trail as safe as we possibly can for everybody to be able to enjoy. So currently, 2 of our 4 core deputies are post-certified bicycle operators, and we expect to have the remaining 2 deputies certified by October, allowing us to expand the program and increase bicycle patrol coverage throughout the city. And I'd like to thank the City Council for its continued investment in this program, and we're encouraged by the early success and look forward to continuing to build on it. Next slide, please. E-motorcycles. I know everybody has a story about an e-motorcycle. Probably everybody in this room can talk about an e-motorcycle, something that they saw that was wild or dangerous or just completely out of control. So I'd like to provide this brief update on a directed e-motorcycle enforcement operation being conducted by our school resource deputies during their summer break. So as these deputies finished with their school year protection, they transitioned into this effort and they've been dedicated to it. So in response to the ongoing community concerns regarding the illegal operation of electric motorcycles, and this is an important distinction for members of the public. We're not talking about e-bikes, we're talking about e-motorcycles, not the same thing. That have been operated throughout the city. Our school resource deputies have been conducting proactive enforcement while school has not been in session. Complaints have included riders operating on public streets, through shopping centers, city parks, neighborhoods, and other heavily populated areas. None of these electric motorcycles that you're seeing on the slides are street legal, with many capable of speeds exceeding 70 miles per hour. When operated in areas shared by pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorists, they create a significant safety risk to the public and to the riders themselves. Many are also operated by juveniles without a driver's license or formal driver training, further increasing the potential for serious collisions and injuries. Next slide, please. Although the operation is still ongoing, deputies have already issued 28 citations, and all 28 illegal motorcycles were towed for being unlawfully operated on public roadways. Of the 28 riders cited, 27 were juveniles, most between the ages of 12 and 14. While the remaining rider was 21 years old, every rider contacted acknowledged that they knew their electric motorcycle was not legal to operate on public roadways. During one enforcement action, a juvenile attempted to evade the deputies, but was safely apprehended and arrested on felony evading charges. In a separate incident, one juvenile rider fled from deputies after pointing a laser at the sheriff's helicopter while it was operational. The juvenile was apprehended on multiple felony charges. The operation will continue for approximately 2 more weeks before school resumes, and we anticipate that these numbers will increase slightly. As students return to school, our school resource deputies will continue working to educate riders and parents while taking appropriate enforcement action to help keep Temecula streets, parks, and neighborhoods safe. Next slide. Here are some of the stats I was talking about. Additionally, I wanted to share that we've been working with the district attorney's office on an admonishment form we will be utilizing during enforcement action when contacting parents and guardians of juvenile e-motorcycle riders. The admonishment will warn very clearly their potential exposure to both criminal and civil penalties for knowingly allowing their child to operate an e-motorcycle illegally when the juvenile suffers great bodily injury or causes injury to someone else or to property damage. We see this routinely where parents have just allowed this to occur, and we're putting them on notice that this is not going to be okay. So I'd like to stress that I prefer to work in collaboration with parents and our young riders to educate and to ideally gain voluntary compliance with the law in order to keep everyone safe, but we will not hesitate to take enforcement action when it is required or it is prudent. And I will share with you that in the time that this was done in my drive over here and waiting to give this report, the deputies confiscated numbers 29, 30, and 31 this afternoon. So if there's no other questions, then that will conclude my public safety report. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Chief. I believe we have one comment so far. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Captain Regali, I really appreciate the report. A couple things. A few years ago, we would have like homelessness and like loitering, sort of negative loitering activity over at Sam Hicks Park, right? And the council at the time, and along with you and your team, like we made like direct, like specific, actionable items to like make that a safer place, like the sort of like community policing model. Like we made investments in the park, upgrades to the museum, and even just the Chapel of Hope now. Like we made sort of like these targeted investments and appreciate like the work that you all did in that space. And now it's a place where families can go play, they can relax, like it's free of that activity. And what we saw on the trails is that sort of activity ended up going there, right? Because it was sort of out of sight, out of mind. It was sort of hidden from view in many places, right? Underneath the freeway, underneath Winchester, things like that. So I appreciate the council's support in the purchase of 2 e-bikes, and then the willingness of yourself and the core team to sort of like, take this by the horns and really go after it, right? One thing that I noticed while I'm out there, and I know the deputies could probably attest to this, is if you're driving a patrol vehicle on the trail, it's very easy to see that from quite a distance, right? And you'll see folks that are on the trail see the DEPs coming, and they'll just scatter. Well, they don't have that same luxury with a bicycle. They just have no idea. And so, much success right away. And I think we're sending a message like, no, this place is for families. This place is for people that want to walk, bike, ride, jog, whatever it is, skate. It's not for you to camp. It's not for you to hang out. And so I appreciate all the hard work that you've done out there because it really has made a difference. And I receive comments from folks all the time that appreciate you. And I see folks out there chatting with the deputies and things like that. So it's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
All righty, thank you again for your report. Great job, and thank you again to your deputies for their hard work. All right, next we're going to move into public comments. Madam Clerk, do we have any, which I believe I saw just a few?
Yes, Madam Mayor, on non-agendized items, we do have 6 public comments in person, and then we may have online comments as well. As a reminder, this particular time is for non-agenda public comments, and you may provide public comments by either submitting a speaker card in person, or you may go ahead and raise your hand if you are online. Each speaker has 3 minutes, so I will go ahead and call the first in-speaker. Again, if you are online, please raise your hand if you are here to provide a public comment on a non-agenda item. The first speaker is Daryl Cowan, to be followed by Amber Carrillo.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Afternoon, Council, and thank you for your time today. My name is Daryl Cowan. I'm the current president of the Temecula Valley Posse. Today, I'm here with 6 of my members. 3 of them I'm going to point out today. One is Juliana, she right there. She just found out today that she joined us, and she's already here. Then we have David, who is on the second to the end. He is in the Air Force Reserves. He still has time for us. And Danelle, raise your hand, Danelle, just turned 72 yesterday. And she is the one that keeps the pace of how fast we have to move. And trust me, I have to work really hard to keep up with her. What I wanted to do is bring you up to date of what we've done for the first half of the year. A lot of times people see us or they don't see us, so I wanted to bring it out of all the stuff we've been doing in the whole Temecula Valley. So currently now 6 stations currently have posses. We are the most active of all of them. This year alone, we've already done 3,620 hours of volunteer time. We currently have 20 members. We have 2 more in backgrounds. We have done 76 events/trainings. Our biggest thing that we've done this year is for the Temecula Valley History Society over at Vale headquarters. That is where all the 3rd grade students for Temecula Valley School District go there to learn about the history of Temecula. And we go there and talk to them about horses and the posse, and they get to meet the horses and pet the horses. That is something new. We are now a permanent fixture with that. So every year we will be there for the 3rd grade students. We went to 17 events for that this year, and we did approximately 650 students. We also did the JCS Pine Hills Academy. We went to Kids World Preschool. We did the Community Crosswalk, the Community Service Expo, the Rod Run, the Meadowview Community Fair, which is the 2nd oldest community in Temecula. There we did the Color Guard, we did a Formation Expo Forum, and we did some question and answers. We did the Police Officer Memorial in Riverside. We did the State of the City, which was very nice this year, Mayor. We also did the Great Oaks and Temecula Valley graduations. We are part of the summer concert series. I think we've only missed one. We did the July 4th parade. As far as training, 3 of us went to agricultural land and livestock procedures, We all got certified. What this does is this allows us to go back into evacuated fire zones when the fire marshal says it's allowed to either help or evacuate livestock. So that is something new. We're going to try to get all of our members qualified in that because we all have horse trailers. WSMOA, which is Western State Mounted Officer Association. David went to that one. He is now certified in that. We had two members.
Thank you, sir. That is your time. I apologize.
No problem.
Next speaker is Amber Carrillo, to be followed by Wayne.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. Good afternoon. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Amber Carrillo. I'm a Public Affairs Specialist with the Small Business Administration, Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. Our organization is in your area in response to the hazmat incident that happened in Garden Grove, May 21st through the 29th. Our mission here is to connect businesses and private nonprofit organizations with SBA disaster assistance to improve disaster recovery outcomes and economic resilience by helping the community recover from the hazmat incident. The SBA offers lending options to qualified businesses with fixed loans as low as 4% and nonprofit organizations as low as 3.625%. Loan amounts can be as high as $2 million with terms as long as 30 years and no interest or payments for the first year, no application fee, and no pre-payoff penalties. These economic injury disaster loans are for working capital to help the small businesses, small agricultural cooperatives, and most private nonprofit organizations meet their ordinary and necessary financial obligations that cannot be met as a result of the hazmat incident. They are intended to assist through the recovery period. There are many ways that businesses could have been affected. Their regular clients may not have been able to get to them because of the closures of the cities. They may get products from businesses in those areas, and they could not get those products for their businesses. Maybe their businesses service that area, and they could not get into that area while it was shut down. And that time frame fell over a holiday weekend. Southern California is a very tourist-driven state, and those businesses may have lost clients who decided not to make their plans to visit California because of the air quality or because of the threat of danger from that hazmat incident. Businesses should not hesitate to reach out to the Small Business Administration to see if they qualify. There's no obligation to accept funding if they are approved. And our customer service representatives are really great, and they are there to help the businesses. The U.S. Small Business Administration has set up a business recovery center where business representatives can go and meet with our customer service representatives who will walk them through the process of getting those resources. The Business Recovery Center is located on the first floor of the Euclid office building, 12966 Euclid Street in Garden Grove. The hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and no appointment is needed. If they do want to make an appointment, they can go to appointment.sba.gov/schedule. We also have an amazing mobile recovery vehicle that can go to any place. It can come to those locations. It can sit in a parking lot. It can sit on a trail.
Thank you. That is your 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Wayne, to be followed by Don Powell.
Thank you for coming up. How are you, sir?
Hi, how are you
It's been a couple days, years.
Yes, Mayor Alexander, I really am grateful that will be the best mayor Temecula will ever have. I think this is our year to get things done, especially slowing down the smart city agenda and protecting our privacy as technology develops. You know, AI is quite a beautiful technology, but expanding flag license plate reader networks are not. Cities across California are already canceling these contracts over data sharing and surveillance concerns. I think we should do the same if we can. Next, I'd like to pivot to something that's a little bit more sensitive. Let's talk about the Iran situation. You know, the woke right, the Democrats, the left, and the mainstream media are making us look bad in this current war that we're in. You know, Iran's #1 priority is to fight terrorism, the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, build rockets and missiles, in tunnels and weapons because they want to fund terrorism and do their thing. I mean, remember the first days of Epic Fury, they just hit all their neighbors. That wasn't a false start. They literally had targets on them. They had plans. Their number one specialty is killing their own people and jailing protesters, executing them. During the blackout in 2026, about 30 to 50,000 people had been killed. I was there from age 0 to age 10, and I saw a lot of the punishing and brutality of the regime. You know, Iran waged this war on us, and for 47 years, we didn't do anything, but President Trump finally chose to do something. I think we need to definitely stand behind his back, because every time the war slows down or there's time to negotiate, that means we're reloading and they're rebuilding. They will try to get revenge anyway. The best thing to do really is to finish the job. It's a win-win-win situation for USA's best safety, for the people of Iran, which is 90% are against the regime. Many don't know that. And it's actually the best for the IRGC and the regime because they're getting what they want. They want to be martyred and go to their paradise. So, I mean, I just wanted to let people know that to please, this is the only war that I know the U.S. has been that's actually essential, because it's not to fund the military-industrial complex. It's not the forever wars that we lost 7,000 military who did sacrifice a lot, and they are sacrificing a lot now. They signed up for this, and it's quite disrespectful to tell them that they shouldn't be doing that. This has been all the prices have gone down for the most part from the last administration, except energy prices. And the sooner this war ends the right way, the sooner those costs will come down too. Again, I want to wish you all the best, and I'm really thankful you're the mayor, and I think 2026 is the golden year, not only for USA, but for Temecula as well. Thank you.
Great to see you. Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is Don Powell. And again, if you are online wanting to speak under non-agendized public comments, please raise your hand. After Don Powell is our final speaker, Nicholas DiPaolo.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thanks for coming in.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members, as well as the staff. And I want to give a great shout out to our fabulous first responders that are here with us today. My name is Dawn Powell, and I am the CEO of Trauma Intervention Programs of Riverside County. And I'm here today to thank the City of Temecula for its continued support of our program. Your support helps to ensure that TIP volunteers are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, to respond to tragedies that occur within the community. For those that may not be familiar with TIP, we are a nonprofit organization made up of specially trained volunteers that respond alongside our first responders to provide immediate emotional as well as practical support in those first few hours after a traumatic situation. So while law enforcement, firefighters, and medical personnel attend to the critical responsibilities and needs of the situation, your TIP volunteers remain with people that are left there trying to process what has happened. So we offer a calm presence. We help survivors understand what may be happening next, and then we connect them with the resources that they may need. The important thing is we make sure that they're not left alone in those first few hours of a traumatic situation, sometimes the worst moments of their lives. So during our last fiscal year, TIP Riverside County responded to 726 calls. We served more than 2,500 people throughout Riverside County. Of those calls, 107 of them were right here in the city of Temecula. Our volunteers respond to death in the home, deaths of children, drowning, serious traffic collisions, and suicides, as well as any other traumatic event. We like to tell our first responders, when in doubt, call TIP out. So we also work closely with the Riverside County Suicide Prevention Coalition. After suicide, this partnership allows our volunteers to provide family and friends with very valuable resources and connect them with the support that they're going to need in the days, weeks, months ahead. We are currently working to schedule briefings with our local first responders so that we can continue to strengthen those relationships and ensure that they understand the how and when TIP can support them and the people that they serve. We will also be holding our next volunteer training academy in October. We are always looking for compassionate community members who are willing to step forward and be there for their neighbors during time of crisis. So on behalf of our staff, volunteers, and the thousands of survivors that we serve, thank you for continuing to recognize the value of this program. We are deeply grateful for the City of Temecula's partnership and support. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for you and your
Thank
team.
you. The next speaker is Nicholas DiPaolo.
Hello, sir. Thank you for coming in.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council members. I am Nicholas, and I am back following up with my Strong Towns chapter, a local movement promoting city financial resilience and safe alternatives to car-dependent design. I do not have a political or government background. Sometimes I'm sitting in a meeting, I don't even know what a term means yet, but that is part of why I'm here. My philosophy is to be humble enough to learn. I want residents watching from home to know you do not need to be an expert to care about your city. You can start a walk, a question, or with a concern. I also do not live inside city limits. I live out in the rural areas, but I'm still part of this community. I work here and shop here. Whether I drive or bike down, I want Temecula to be a place people can move throughout safely and enjoy being in. And no, our movement does not hate cars. I grew up admiring car design through video games and places like the Peterson Museum. I've even driven a cool car or two, but after a while, sitting in traffic gets boring. Lately, I've been inspired by the Paris Rail Museum. I can appreciate cool cars and still believe we need safer streets and better transit. Think Monaco, cool cars, but also walkable. Looks and access can all be cool. But right now, a lot of our city still asks everyone to drive. I've seen teenagers riding bikes looking terrified. I've seen them face confusing choices on arterials. Should they ride in the lane, on the sidewalk, into the median, or make a U-turn? Cars are even in the way while I'm driving for work deliveries. That sounds funny, but it's true. When everyone has to drive, even drivers suffer. Traffic after events like the 4th of July show us the limits of building around only one transportation option. I've gone on dates where transportation was an issue because the other person did not drive. I have friends who need help getting to businesses because they do not have reliable, safe, or affordable ways to get around, and they cannot Uber everywhere. Temecula has been an alternative to LA and San Diego, but now it is time to upgrade our vision beyond widening roads and hoping congestion disappears. I hope our town does not become merely a collector for people entering the freeway. I hope the bridges, freeway areas, and major corridors become more pedestrian-friendly, bike-friendly, shaded, and connected. I also favor residents speaking tonight about reducing herbicide use in our spaces, like implementing a pilot program for parks that avoid toxic herbicides and clear 48-hour public notices before herbicides applications on the city property. That fits the same vision here. Public places should be safe, cared for, and welcoming. And yes, our group is still learning. In one video, we cleaned off a dirt sidewalk with a power drill. Could we have been smarter? Probably. Could we have noted the size in advance? Yes, but we were determined. I've built mountain bike trails and done plenty of labor, so I can laugh at myself. I love the advice we received, and we are proof that you can be playful and still responsible, practical, and serious about your community. Lastly, I'm a ginger, so please give me more shade. Walking around also reminded me that Temecula does not always feel as hot when you are in a pleasant place. It feels hotter when we are surrounded by large asphalt parking lots, which are the consequences of parking minimums. Thank you to everyone who supports road diets, safer crossings, and a stronger Temecula.
Thank you for your time.
Madam Mayor, that concludes all the public comments on non-agendized items.
Alrighty, thank you for passing that on. I am going to just take a little initiative here. We've got just a few families here, and being a mom, I get it. And so what I'd like to do is move up agenda item 19 to be able to give the business opportunity for you guys to come and speak ahead of time. So if we can move that up and move ahead. At this point, we will look into 19 as receive presentation regarding pesticide application and best practices utilized citywide at the request of Council Member Zach Schwank. If I can please get a staff report from Mr. Ron Moreno.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor and City Council. Tonight we're going to be talking about City of Temecula's current practices with regards to pesticides, herbicides, and our pest management program that was requested on the April 28th meeting by Councilman Schwank. And so therefore, we're going to be presenting all the information that we are able to provide regarding what we do currently today. So the purpose is really the city uses targeted weed and pest management practices to protect public safety, preserve infrastructure, maintain the quality of life that residents expect. Controlling invasive weeds helps reduce fire hazards, improves visibility along roadways and trails, and protects parks and public spaces. Pest management helps prevent damage to city assets, supports public health, and ensures safe, enjoyable recreational areas. These efforts help support compliance with regulatory requirements and provide a cost-effective approach to preventing larger and more expensive problems in the future. The city uses targeted management strategies and does not apply chemical treatments to all lots or locations, as we will see in this presentation. So the core compliance commitments, the city's contractors commit to using the integrative pest management principles to evaluate and manage weeds and pests, using non-chemical and mechanical controls whenever practical, using targeted, not broadcast applications whenever feasible, and applying products strictly according to label and SDS or safety data sheet guidance, maintaining employee pesticide safety training records, maintaining required monthly pesticide use reporting with Riverside County, and maintaining proper business licensing, qualified applicator licensing, and restricted materials permits, and maintaining safety data sheets for all products used in city operations. The city uses 3 companies for pest control, pesticides, and herbicides to help keep our city beautiful and safe. Those companies are Nieves Landscape, Lawnscape Systems, and South County Pest Control. At this point, I'd like to point out, we use these 3, but these 3 also work for other entities within the city of Temecula. So sometimes you may see, for instance, today, Lawnscape was out spraying along the MWD easements that run through our city. So therefore, what I wanted to just basically say is these are the companies we use within our public right-of-way and only at our facilities, so it's public property. So let's start with Nieves. Nieves Landscape maintains a pesticide and pest management program designed to meet City of Temecula landscape maintenance specifications, California Department of Pesticide regulation requirements, Riverside County Agricultural Commissioner reporting requirements, and product label requirements. Chemical applications are incorporated only when warranted by site conditions, weed or pest pressure, safety concerns, infrastructure protection, turf or landscape health, or city service expectations. Applications are performed using documented controls intended to reduce drift, prevent runoff, limit public exposure, and ensure proper employee protection. At this point, Nieves sprays landscape areas in all city parks, facilities, medians, and slopes, and I think that's important to note. So what does Nieves use? So here are the products that Nieves uses. First of all, it's Ranger Pro. Contains glyphosate as the active ingredient. Fusilade Ornamental contains fluazepop p-butyl as the active ingredient. Envoy contains clethodim as the active ingredient. Gallery contains isoaxbin as the active ingredient. And then we have Speed Zone broadleaf herbicide for turf that has an ethyl hexyl ester, a synthetic auxin as the active ingredient. And then there's Rosal Pocket Gopher Bait, contains chlorphosphinone as the active ingredient and an anticoagulant rodenticide, along with grain bait materials and other inert ingredients that attract pocket gophers and aid in bait stability and delivery. So the landscape areas, they do have to use that gopher rodent bait at that point. So these are the products that Nieves uses, and those are the only ones that are used under their contract with the city of Temecula. Next, we have Lawnscape. That's another company that I was mentioning currently, for instance, today was spraying the MWD easements. But here's everything that Lawnscape sprays, and notice that they spray in both a pre- and post-emergence. So this pretty much are the herbicides that are done in the spring and fall, and spot sprays in the summer. So it's twice a year plus spot sprays. The streets and channels, so basically we're talking about weeds here. Weeds to keep out of the streets, weeds to keep out of the channels. I'm going to park right here just for a minute to get a sip of water so you can see all the locations, because it's a lot, and I'm sure you're trying to read exactly where these are at, and you probably recognize a lot of them. So as you can see, it's most of the channels, most of the streets and street corridors, if not all. At least the ones that we own as far as channels goes. We do not touch flood control channels. We do not any of the private channels or anything like that. These are city-maintained channels. So what are the lawnscape products? Well, bare ground areas receive Roundup Pro concentrate, which contains 50.2% glyphosate as the active ingredient. Esplanade contains the indaziflam as the active ingredient, and then Milestone, another product, uses an aminopyrrolide as the active ingredient. Now, areas with desirable vegetation next to them, they still get the Roundup Pro concentrate and the Esplanade, but they also receive Expel, which contains dinotefuran and pyrrolithrin as active ingredients. So those are the products that Lawnscape uses in spraying on our streets and channels. South County. So this is really pests. So this is going to be your spiders. It's going to be any type of pest that shows up in some of our facilities. And it could be anything. There's many pests that are out there entering our structures. And so this is a safe application for the general public. And notice these are the locations that are used or that are sprayed as far as pests go. So you can see it's a range from penny pickles to obviously the library, Margarita Rec Center, and you can see all of them there. You can see all the various facilities that are sprayed for pests. So we're not talking herbicides, pesticides, but we're talking about pests only. Now the products that they use and the rates are as follows. Notice the very first one. This is the one that they use first. This is the one above all. Acentria, most commonly used at recreational facilities and parks, and only contains natural ingredients. And notice the natural ingredients are rosemary oil, geran oil, peppermint oil, mineral oil, wintergreen oil, vanillin, and other proprietary ingredients. So that's the one that is used most predominantly for the pests. And also I will point out, because we did get a question on it earlier, South Coast actually helps us also with our bees. So if bees are going to be removed, we ask them to take care of it, for them to be relocated, but the city does not do any bee extinguishment or removals. The second one is bifin, and that contains 0.06 bifenthrin as the active ingredient, which is a synthetic pyrethroid insecticide, and the remaining ingredients consisting of solvents, surfactants, preservatives, stabilizers, pH adjusters. Taurus, and notice that's 0.4 ounces per 1 gallon of water, so we're giving you the rates as well. The active ingredient is fipronil, which is a broad-spectrum insecticide that belongs to the phenylprizola class of chemicals, and the rest consists of water-based suspension concentrate. There are only 2 applications per year of this, and it is only when needed. And then we have Tempo. Notice 8 milliliters per 1 gallon of water. Beta-cyflothrin is the active ingredient, which is a synthetic pyrethroid insecticide. The formulation also contains propylene, glycol, amorphous silica, water, and other proprietary inert ingredients such as carriers, surfactants, and stabilizers. The manufacturer does not publicly disclose the complete composition of the inert ingredients. But all services are performed monthly, and as we wanted to point out once again, the first one is Acentria, the natural one that we try to use all the time. So those are the 3 contracts that we use under the city. So city employees are not doing these applications. It's these 3 contracts that we have. And for the fiscal year 25-26, wanted to point out the amount of funds that are spent. South County Pest Control, a little over $16,000. Lawnscape, we spent nearly $100,000 with Lawnscape to do those streets and channels. And then Nieves, who takes care of all our landscaping throughout the city, a little over $120,000. So totaling, we're close to $250,000 that we use for these various applications. So this is the program that we use currently today at the City of Temecula. I'm open for questions if you need them, but I also wanted to point out we do have city staff here that manages the streets, the facilities, the parks, and then we also have representatives from those 3 companies. But if I can answer the questions, and I'll call them up if I need their help. However, I'm open for questions at this time. That concludes my staff report.
All righty, thank you very much, Mr. Marino. I'd like to open up now for council questions. Seeing none to my right. Oh, one to my left, yes.
Couple questions. In our contracts with these various agencies, do we require a notification when they apply pesticides around the city?
We do manage them like we do any contractor to find out where they're applying. There are certain things that we have to go out and check just to make sure that the city is spending their money and things are being done. So we do have an active kind of map of where they're going to be, but we are not following them from facility to facility, if that is where you're going. But we do actively manage them like we would any other contractor.
Thank you. More specifically, I guess in the contract, do we require them to essentially notify the public that there's active pesticide spraying at the time that they are doing it?
No.
Thank you for that. In one of the slides, it talked about non-chemical and mechanical controls whenever practical, and also talked about the use of pesticide use whenever practical. Is that the verbiage that's in our contract? I guess I'm trying to see if we could, when we make these contracts with these companies, if we could be less broad and be more specific so they don't have as much leeway to determine when it's practical and when it's not practical, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
To me, when practical, is there parameters to say when non-chemical use is practical?
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly look at that contract language, but right now, currently, we ask them to perform a service, they evaluate the slopes. They know when they have to do certain things, pre and post, spring and fall, prior to a rainy season. So those are prescribed for sure, when they need to do that. Other than that, our city staff works with them individually. If there are spot areas, if something comes up, if there's something that is noticed, for instance, that grows crazy in a certain area, then our city staff will work with the companies to identify those areas, and then it's brought to a priority.
Copy that. Thank you very much. And you made a comment about the bees. In that specific contract with our pest, and again, this is just news to me today, are we sure that they do not exterminate the bees, but rather transfer them to another location? Is that their primary, I guess, number one, when we have a bee problem, they transfer them and they only exterminate on...
That's the number one request.
Thank you very much. And then last question, with the $250,000 approximately cost that we spend in the city, have we looked into the cost to changing to safer alternatives, or have we done any research on the cost of safer alternatives out there?
We have not.
Okay, thank you. No further questions, Mayor.
I do have one quick question, actually, adding on to that. Now, I was informed that years ago we did have a contractor. We were kind of going down this route as far as a natural application. Can you speak to that, of what that looked like, how that kind of unwound, and where we are?
So that was about 8 to 10 years ago. Anecdotally, what was told is that it was a little cost prohibitive and it was not as effective. However, that's anecdotal. I have no data to back that up. So I wouldn't want to just say it costs too much, or we can't do it. It was looked at 8 to 10 years ago, and at the time it just wasn't deemed feasible.
Okay, so we've never gone down that road.
I don't have any data, to support that.
All righty, I appreciate you, thank you. Any other questions from council?
Just one.
Oh, yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I just have one question on the broadcast spraying of the herbicides on our roadways. Is that like the vehicles that drive around and there's usually someone on the back, or they're spraying as they're driving? Is that the method of application?
Yeah, and typically you'll see like the purple color of it.
Right.
It's a different color. That color is something that disseminates over 48 hours. That's implemented so that we know it's being sprayed. And so that does happen.
Okay, so that's just a dye, so you know. But is there another way to do that application versus that sort of driving and spraying? I mean, certainly we can look into it.
That's certainly something we could look into.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's concerning to me. That's one of the concerns. That's why I brought this, is that you see these videos. I've shared with some of the folks before. If you're not in a car, you're out walking, you're walking with your kids to school, and these vehicles go by and they're spraying. I've actually been sprayed before, as when we're going to school. And this was years ago. But it's problematic. The timing of the spraying near schools as well. Let's not time them so kids are walking to school. So thinking that through. So this is just one of the concerns I have going forward. Something I know we'll look at.
Mm-hmm. All right, outstanding, gentlemen. Thank you for your questions, and Mr. Marino, thank you very much. Next, we're going to move into our public comments with this agenda item. How many comments do we have currently? Where are we at?
Currently, I have 23 comments.
All right, so with that being said, at this point, I believe each one has currently right now 5 minutes due to this as a business item. So I'm going to pass this on to the council, since we have 20 individuals right now who would like to speak, and I want to make sure each one of you gets an opportunity to speak as well. Would the council prefer to reduce this down to 3 minutes for each speaker at this point in time, so we can get through all the speakers, or do everybody, yes? Good to go? All right, so we're going to...
I'm okay with 5, but whatever the council wants.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
3. Okay, so we're going to move that to 3 minutes at this point in time. I just want to encourage all of you. I know it cuts. Trust me, I've been on that other side before. I completely get it. I want to make sure I get everybody in there. Some of you are going to have repetitive information with each other. I know that. But I look forward to hearing from all of you. And so let's get moving on that if we can, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And again, if there is anybody online that would like to speak on this particular comment or this particular agenda item, number 19, please go ahead and raise your hand, and we will go ahead and call on you.
Ma'am, I'm just going to cut in for 1 second real quick. Also, please remember as well, don't forget, you can still submit your speeches or whatever you have over to the council so we can read them. If there's something specific, maybe there was a time that got cut, I would really want to encourage all of you to please submit that information so that way we have everything on the record. So that way it just doesn't get set aside. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Madam Mayor, and we have over 50 comments that have already come in and will be a part of the official record as well. So our first speaker is Laura Zayetz. Laura Zayetz, I think I'm saying that correctly, to be followed by Russell Shirley.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much. My name is Laura Zayatz. I have lived in Temecula for 16 years, and I am a cancer survivor. And this is why it means a lot to me, because I've learned how toxic our world is in so many ways. So, for instance, I took my lawn out and I had it replaced with Desertscape, but I still have weeds. So I use a vinegar dishwash soap mixture, and I spray it all over the places where we have weeds, and it actually works better than Roundup ever did. So anyway, my father, who I took care of the first 10 years I was here, and it's his home originally, he died with Parkinson's. And what I learned is that the golf courses, the stuff they spray all over them causes Parkinson's. So that's probably how he got it. And so the lawns, and when I looked it up, the herbicides and pesticides, they actually affect within a mile outside of that. It concerns me about our city parks and all the pesticide or herbicides or whatever on the grass, where all the dogs and children and like the soccer kids are practicing and so forth are. And so I just want to be very involved with, I also looked online and I found that there's other cities that they advertise that they are toxic-free parks. So I would like to look into that and see what they're doing and how they're doing it. I still have neighbors all around me with lawns, and they can't stand their dandelions, and they just spray, and all these, lawn companies are spraying for them, and stuff. But I'd like to see our Temecula become pesticide and herbicide free, toxic free. That would be a wonderful thing for Temecula to be known as, I think. Thank you very much for this time.
Thank you, ma'am, for coming in.
The next speaker is Russell Shirley. Russell Shirley, to be followed online by Carolyn Hunt.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, Council. My name is Russell Shirley. I'm a resident of Temecula and City Council candidate for District 5. Tonight I'm speaking about a toxic-free Temecula. Groups like Toxic Free Temecula and many residents like myself are asking the city to phase out the use of glyphosate on city property and move towards safer alternatives whenever possible. This isn't about politics, it's about protecting the health of our residents, especially our children. Glyphosate is one of the most widely used herbicides in the world. Some agencies say it's safe when used as directed. Others, including the WHO's Cancer Research Agency, have classified it as probably carcinogenic to humans. Reasonable people can disagree about the science, but I don't think anyone disagrees that if we can reduce unnecessary exposure to chemicals, especially where children play, we should. The state of Iowa is one example of why this conversation matters. Iowa is one of the largest users of glyphosate in the country. It also has the highest cancer rates in the United States. This should make us ask an important question. If there is even a possibility that this chemical exposure contributes to long-term health risks, why shouldn't we choose safer alternatives? Closer to home, families in Ladera Ranch are living through something no parent should ever experience. A cluster of children have developed cancer, and the community has been searching for answers. No cause has been confirmed, but concerns about environmental exposures, including pesticides, have been serious enough that people are asking difficult questions and pushing for investigations. That's exactly why we as a city should take a proactive approach. As a firefighter-paramedic, my job is to reduce risk before tragedy happens. We don't wait until a house burns down to install smoke alarms. We don't wait until someone crashes to encourage seatbelts. We don't wait for a preventable emergency before taking action. We identify risks and then we reduce them. Public health should work the same way. If there are effective alternatives to glyphosate, if other cities and countries even are making the switch, if we can reduce unnecessary exposure for children, families, pets, and city employees, then why wouldn't we? We're not asking the city to stop maintaining parks. We're asking the city to maintain them in the safest way possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, would you like to go ahead and make your announcement about the clicking or anything? Because we're not going to be able to hear the online speakers.
Yes. So what we'd like to do, what we changed to is actually we started doing thumbs up or thumbs down. So if there's something you would like to support, we would ask that your thumbs go up so we can just kind of see where everybody's at. Same things with thumbs down, so that way the noise doesn't really affect the speaker or anybody we're hearing. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our first online speaker is Carolyn Hunt. Carolyn, you are live.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Hi, I'm Carol Hunt. I'm here to express my concern about the health and safety of residents of Temecula. The IARC, International Agency of Research on Cancer, listed glyphosate as a highly probable carcinogen in March of 2015. Since then, and particularly within the last 2 years, many studies have come out showing glyphosate is not just a highly probable carcinogen, but a full carcinogen. Even when a product doesn't contain glyphosate, that doesn't inherently mean it's non-toxic. The current rare cancers being found in Ladera, Orange County, are being speculated to have been caused by toxic pesticides and herbicides. Their city itself used glyphosate-free chemicals, but the term glyphosate-free is really very disingenuous. When many of these chemicals are tested in the blood, their breakdown components actually show up as glyphosate. The studies done on these individual glyphosate-free products are also showing carcinogenic results. These studies used in the Supreme Court case to relieve Bayer-Monsanto of liability were based on older studies that Bayer-Monsanto themselves have a conflict of interest in funding. No study that does not have a Bayer-Monsanto conflict of interest in funding has ever reported the same findings. In fact, all other studies point the completely opposite direction. I'd like to point out that this Supreme Court ruling does not mean that class action lawsuits can't happen. It means that they will be transferred to the local level and the land management company level, putting the taxpayers directly on hold for the harm. Ultimately, it means residents will just be paying themselves for the harm that was directly caused to them. I was personally at the Ladera Ranch Civic Council meeting. These residents went to LARMAC, the land management company responsible for this, back in 2019 and wanted to change to non-toxic. Now, 7 years later, this is what we are dealing with after they refused. Cases are showing up in Tustin and Brea as well. Residents are now looking into class action lawsuits what their options are against LARMAC and OC Public Works. Please do not make the same mistake as LARMAC and OC Public Works. In light of the Ladera Ranch issue, and no doubt from the liability aspect of this, the OC Board of Supervisors has called for a county-wide herbicide and pesticide spraying pause. The city of Irvine was responsible for implementing the first non-toxic land management policy in Orange County, and it will become the model for all of Orange County. Cities in Orange County will now be transitioning to this non-toxic landscape policy. I see no reason for Temecula not to do the same. I'm asking the City Council to put the health and safety needs of the residents first and do what is right for Temecula. Please go forward and implement a non-toxic landscape policy. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker is Dominic Militio.
Hello, sir.
Hi,
Thank you for coming.
my name is Dominic.
There you go.
My name is Dominic Miliato, and I'm a citizen of Temecula. The grass is dead, so nobody can play on it. The pollinators are dying or leaving. I see fires everywhere. I learned that the city approved to spray herbicides and pesticides on the grass. I also learned that the wind is strong, so it's spreading into our backyards. I was walking in the neighborhood, and the grass was yellow and dead. The kids were playing in the grass, and there was no signs or anything to tell them what's happening. I recently watched the Groundswell documentary, and it talks about the soil's health and how it affects the food, climate, animals, humans, and plants. We have to change. We can't keep making inventions to cover up our mistakes. If we act now, we can honor our planet by planting native plants and regenerative farming. We can only do that with healthier soil. I'm asking you to stop spraying pesticides and find safer alternatives.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. Great job.
Thank you. The next speaker is Giorgio Constaneris, to be followed online by Rika Gopinath.
All righty. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, fellow Temecula residents. My name is Giorgio Constanteris. I stand before you tonight as a father, homeowner, and a youth soccer coach, and a resident who deeply loves this community. Like many families, we chose Temecula because it is a wonderful place to raise children. We take pride in our neighborhoods, our parks, our schools, and the sense of community that makes this city special. As a father, there's nothing more important to me than the health and well-being of my children. Every parent in this room shares that same responsibility. We spend countless hours trying to protect our kids from unnecessary harm. We research the foods they eat, the products we bring into our homes, and the environments where they spend their time. We do those things because protecting our children is not our job, it's our obligation. As a youth soccer coach, I've had the privilege of spending hundreds of hours with children on our city's fields. Those fields are more than grass and goalposts. They are places where confidence is built, friendships are formed, and young people learn discipline, teamwork, and resilience. Over the past several soccer seasons, there were multiple occasions when a couple of my players were unable to attend practices and games because their parents believed they were experiencing illnesses related to pesticide exposure. Whether every one of those illnesses can ever be definitively connected is not really the point. What mattered to me as a coach was seeing parents who were genuinely concerned that playing on a city field might expose their children to something they viewed as harmful. No parent should ever have to wrestle with that concern. Children are uniquely vulnerable. They spend more time on the ground, they touch the grass, they roll in it, they put their hands in their mouths without thinking twice. Their bodies are still developing, which is exactly why we should be especially thoughtful about the environments we create for them. I also want to recognize that maintaining a city as beautiful as Temecula is no easy task. I appreciate the work performed by our public works employees and city staff every day. This isn't about criticizing the people doing that work, it's about asking whether we can accomplish the same mission in a safer way. Many of you have spent your careers in professions where protecting people was not just a responsibility. It was the very purpose of your work, whether it's serving in the military, protecting our neighborhoods and law enforcement, or responding to emergencies as firefighters. Those professions all share a common principle. We don't wait until every risk becomes a tragedy before taking action. You assess the information you have, you identify hazards, and you weigh the potential consequences. And when there is a reasonable opportunity to reduce unnecessary risk, especially when it involves protecting families and children, you act. That's not fear, that's leadership. That's how we approach nearly every aspect of public safety. We install guardrails before cars leave the road. We inspect bridges before they fail. I believe this issue deserves to be viewed through that same lens. This isn't about saying every herbicide application causes harm. It's about asking whether we continue accomplishing the city's mission of maintaining beautiful parks, sidewalks, and public spaces while reducing unnecessary chemical exposure. I'm not asking the city to stop controlling weeds, just asking you to lead. I respectfully ask the City Council to direct staff to evaluate and expand the use of non-chemical weed management practices wherever practical, reduce herbicide use in parks, playgrounds, sports, fields, trails, and other areas where families gather. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is online. Rika, go ahead. You are live.
Thank you very much. My name is Rika Gopinath, and I'm here with some good news from two nonprofits. There are best practices and resources out there that are solutions and not just swaps for pesticides. My day job is with Beyond Pesticides, which is a national nonprofit, and I help run a free to most cities Beyond Parks for Sustainable Future program. Basically, we're working across the country, including in California, and helping cities like yours not just swap pesticides out, not even for organic ones, but making a wholesale change that is practical and provable to organic land care. And I really want to point to young Dominic, who just spoke, and underscore the wisdom of our children and youth. Dominic spoke about not just herbicides, weed killers, but pesticides. It's a category word for all of the things that kill. But he also referenced Groundswell, a recent movie. And that talks in the agricultural setting what we at Beyond Pesticides and others do in the landscape setting. It's organic land management that isn't about products, pesticide products. It's about harnessing nature. And what really moved me was to hear Dominic's description of the grass and the grass fields. We have many of our programs in cities across the country, including Seattle. It's about to start, and we're talking with LA and others. It's about harnessing the soil biology and easy technical things that you can do with training and resources. And that's what Non-Toxic Communities, another nonprofit based with community groups, as well as Beyond Pesticides, has to offer. Council Member Kalfas asked about contractors and what's practical. The reality is, when you ask a pesticide applicator or a landscape company whose business model is built on putting down synthetic and petrochemical toxic or pesticides, herbicides, I mean, the list here is not just about Roundup. And I would urge your council to not think about a product swap and have regrettable substitutes. Every single chemical, except for Essentria, which I'm thrilled to see is used inside buildings, has toxic effects, and it's not about the EPA label that says caution. EPA labels do not make these products safe. They only ask the manufacturer for data on an active ingredient, and those label warning words are only about the person applying them. None of that goes to the chronic effects, and that's, again, what Beyond Pesticides will share with your commission, specific toxicity about this, and cities where they're doing it without. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am, for your time.
The next speaker is Marianne Constaneris, to be followed by Luca Constaneris.
Good afternoon, Marianne.
Hi. Okay, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and city staff. My name is Marianne Constanteres. I'm the founder of Toxin Free Temecula, a Temecula resident, and most importantly, a mother. I'm here tonight because I believe every family in Temecula deserves to enjoy our city without worrying about unnecessary exposures to toxic herbicides. I'm here because I want to know when my children run through a park or a playground, I don't have to worry about something I can't see. As a parent, we do everything to protect our children, but how do we protect our children from something we can't see? Many cities throughout California have already shown that beautiful parks can be maintained while eliminating the routine of toxic herbicides. Safer alternatives exist, and communities are already using them successfully. Recently, many of us have watched with heartbreak as families in nearby Ladera Ranch search for answers following reports of multiple children diagnosed with the same rare cancer. 4 of the same rare cancers are in a nearby elementary school currently. Why should we wait for a tragedy before choosing the safer option? If safer alternatives already exist, protecting our children should never be a second thought. It should always be our first priority. Tonight, I respectfully ask the council to have 5 meaningful steps. First, establish a pilot program eliminating the use of toxic pesticides. Second, appoint Jeff Beardsley as a consultant to help guide the pilot program and bring expertise in safe weed management practices. Third, establish an ad hoc committee to work with the City Landscape Maintenance Division during this transition. I would be honored to serve on that committee. Fourth, require 48 hours advance public notice before any pesticide application through clear signage and online treatment map with notice remaining available for at least 24 hours after the application. Finally, commit to a long-term goal of ultimately eliminating the city's reliance on toxic pesticides whenever practical alternatives exist. I know some people will ask about cost, but protecting our children should never begin with a discussion about dollars. It should begin with a discussion about values. People over poison every single time. As a mother, I can't protect my children from something I can't see, something I can't smell, and something I don't know it's being sprayed. But you can. You have the opportunity to make that choice for every family in Temecula. Let's make Temecula the city that leads, not because we were forced to change that after tragedy, but because we choose to protect our children before one. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming up.
The next speaker is Luca Constraneris, to be followed online by Bethany Nelms.
Hello, young sir. Thank you for coming in.
Hi, my name is Luca. I'm 9 years old. I like playing in the park, but sometimes there's poison on the grass. I can't see it. I can't smell it, but it is still there. Kids play on the ground. We touch the grass. We don't know what to touch. We don't know how to touch. We don't know we do not want to touch poison too. Please stop spraying poison in our parks. Kids just want a safe place to play. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bethany Nelms, you are now live.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Bethany Nelms, and I'm here to ask for a few things today. First, I'd like you to create an ad hoc committee to take a closer look at pesticide use throughout the city of Temecula. I'm asking for a thoughtful, realistic review. After personally going through the current practices, I can identify several areas where small changes could have big, positive effects. In your presentation, you mentioned targeted applications and an IPM. Those sound great, but that's not what's actually being done. Unfortunately, policy is useless when it's not being practiced. The records reviewed show broadcast spraying, lack of compliance, as well as a lack of any actual integrated program. It's high volume synthetic herbicide use first. Temecula has the opportunity to bring together staff in the community to evaluate current practices, review the latest science, and identify practical ways to reduce synthetic pesticide use, while still maintaining beautiful public spaces. If we know better, it's our responsibility to do better, and we know there are safer options. I also ask that the city launches a pilot program to use safer, least toxic vegetation management practices. Starting with a few locations would allow Temecula to evaluate the most effective maintenance needs. In addition, I ask the city to implement advanced public notification whenever herbicides are being applied on public property. Residents deserve an opportunity to make informed decisions about what they are exposed to. Transparency is invaluable and builds trust. This is a matter of risk management. Across the country, concerns about herbicide exposure have resulted in significant litigation and growing public scrutiny. Cities have a responsibility to continually evaluate whether their practices reflect current science and whether reasonable steps can be taken to reduce potential liability while practicing public health. Many of us have watched what has happened in neighboring Ladera Ranch. We need to make sure each city is doing their due diligence to protect the people. Nobody wants to be labeled as negligent. Your residents are asking for progressive approaches. Temecula has the opportunity to lead rather than react. By creating the committee, implementing a pilot program, and providing advance public notice, the city can take measured, common sense steps that protect public health while continuing to care for the public spaces. Other cities have already done this. We know it's possible. It's a mentality shift, and I respectfully ask for your leadership on these issues. Thank you for your time and consideration.
The next speaker is Carol Grieve, to be followed by Andres.
Hi, Miss Carol.
Yes, it's Carol Grave. My name's Carol Grave, and I'm a health coach and a very concerned citizen. I also have a health and wellness website, and I've done many interviews with some of the leading experts on chemical toxicology and have learned much about pesticides and herbicides and how they can affect our bodies and our health. I'm the former board president of Moms Across America, and Moms Across America and I have studied these toxic chemicals that are being used in Temecula's current pesticide management. Many of these chemicals being sprayed are highly toxic to human health. Not only are they toxic to human health, they are toxic to our pets and to our environment. One of the ingredients, which has been mentioned several times here, is glyphosate. I have been studying glyphosate for 20 years. It is so toxic. It can cause cancer, including non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and other cancers involving the liver, kidneys, and other organs. It can adversely affect our reproductive system. It's an endocrine disruptor, and it can even cross the blood-brain barrier. It can penetrate the lining of our gut, causing dysbiosis or leaky gut, which then can affect the brain. It was first used to clean boilers, and because it's a mineral chelator. So what it does, it binds minerals and makes them unavailable. So when you think if it's binding things like manganese and calcium and some of the minerals that are just really important to our health and make them unavailable, what's that doing to our body? As many have mentioned, it's classified as a probable carcinogen by IARC, International Agency for Research on Cancer. And we're spraying this toxic chemical more and more. And what happens when it mixes with certain adjuvants like AMPA and other surfactant, it can even be more toxic than glyphosate alone. So the places where it's being sprayed can definitely affect our children, our wildlife, our pets, and the environment. And as many have said, when we know better, we need to do better. What kind of legacy are we leaving for our children, our grandchildren, and generations to come by continuing the use of these toxic chemicals? We have an opportunity here today to change the current pesticides management program.
Thank you. And that's your time. The next speaker is Andres Torres.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Andres or Andrea Torres.
Are they here? All right, let's move on.
Sarah Beecher, to be followed by Bethany McDaniel. Sarah Beecher. Okay, Bethany McDaniel.
Thank you, Ms. Bethany, for coming in.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Bethany McDaniel. I'm a Temecula resident, a mother of 3, and the founder of Primally Pure, a non-toxic skincare company that employs over 100 local residents and is headquartered in nearby Marietta. I love this city. I often tell friends who live outside of Southern California that Temecula is a bubble in the best possible way. It's a place where families come to build a life, a place where health and wellness is valued and where regenerative agriculture and environmental stewardship are becoming a part of our identity. I believe we have an opportunity today to protect a part of what makes Temecula so special. The word pesticide literally means to kill. The suffix "side" means killer. Herbicides kill plants, insecticides kill insects. These toxic killing chemicals are also well known to negatively impact human health. And our parks and playgrounds where children play and families gather shouldn't be places where these chemicals are routinely applied when safer alternatives are available. Many of these chemicals are produced by large multinational chemical companies, and many of the active ingredients that remain legal in the United States have already been restricted or banned in other parts of the world, including the countries where these chemicals are produced, because of health or environmental concerns. I believe that Temecula should lead by choosing the safest options available instead of waiting until we're forced to change. The choices we make on this important issue have the potential to either improve or degrade the health of our citizens. Let's continue making Temecula a city that's known not only for its beauty, but also for protecting the health of the families who call it home. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, ma'am.
The next speaker is Ryan Trackman, to be followed by Nicholas Trackman. Ryan Trackman.
All right, thank you,
To be
Ryan,
followed
for
by
coming in.
Nicholas Trackman.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, City Councilman. My name is Ryan Trackman. I'm a Temecula resident. My family and I have called Temecula home for the past 15 years. We first moved here when I was an active duty Marine and chose to stay here after I retired in 2024. I recently saw a video from Councilman Kalfas regarding Temecula being debt-free. First off, I want to say thank you. It's an amazing accomplishment, and it shows that the members of this council not only care about current citizens, but you care about the future citizens of this community. Your foresight to do what's right now unburdens future generations from having to clean up the mistakes of the past. This pesticide issue is no different. I've heard statements from members of this council: people over power lines, people over profits. How about we add a new one? People over poison. As you well know, Temecula is a great place to live. As the current adults and parents in the room, it's our shared responsibility to keep it that way for our children and their future families. The terms pesticide and herbicide are so commonplace these days that the average person has been conditioned to not really recognize how dangerous and damaging they can be. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a retired Marine Corps veteran. I worked in the field of marine aviation, and it was ingrained in my head from day one of training that our manuals are written in blood. The rules and regulations exist because some accident or mishap from the past created the new rule, regulation, requirement, step, or procedure in order to avoid another tragedy. The one thing you could never answer when asked why you were doing something was, "That's just how it's always been done." Spraying toxic synthetic chemicals in mass quantities is not the way it's always been done, but just happens to be what we as a population have been told we have to accept now. That's just the way it is. I was born in 1984, so I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. I can promise you that my grandfather was not blasting glyphosate, Fusilade, or Ranger Pro all over his lawn and garden. He had 2 weed removers, and he was an expert at wielding them. Those weed removers were me and my older brother. The process may have been a little more laborious and time-consuming, but it was definitely a safer and healthier option. Councilman Kalfas and Director Moreno mentioned that the city of Temecula does not itself conduct the spraying of these chemicals, but rather you all sign off on the contracts of the companies that do. You absolutely have the power to stop the usage of these toxins from being deployed within our city limits. You have the ability to end this practice and declare Temecula a pesticide-free city. There are safer alternatives. Please work with us to make our community a safer, healthier place for all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is Nicholas Trackman, to be followed by Catherine Shaheen.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank
So my name is Nicholas Trackman. Ryan Trackman is my dad. I'm 16 years old and I live in Temecula. And the two subjects that I enjoy researching the most are history and science. I thought I'd focus on glyphosate. So there's a brief history of glyphosate and how it works and why it's a threat to our community. So glyphosate belongs to a group of chemicals called organophosphates. They share a common chemical structure, and they are mostly nerve agents. They were pioneered and developed by Nazi scientists in the 1930s and 40s, and they were among one of the most common types since then that are used as chemical weapons that have led to horrible atrocities. After World War II, many of these scientists were brought to the U.S. in Operation Paperclip, and they developed new chemicals. Glyphosate, although not invented directly by one of these scientists, but most of these herbicides and pesticides and dangerous chemicals were invented by the same people. So glyphosate is different because instead of being a nerve agent like most organophosphates, it's more like a nerve agent for plants. So it binds to an enzyme called EPSPS that leads to the organism that uses this enzyme to die. Now, this chemical, or EPSPS, is only found in bacteria and plants. So originally, when glyphosate started being used as an herbicide, it was thought, well, it can't harm people because it would only kill plants and bacteria. That's where the illusion is shattered because glyphosate, when it's taken into the body, it does a variety of horrible things. Other people have talked about it, but I'll give a brief overview. So glyphosate, it kills bacteria in the microbiome, which leads to immune problems. Good bacteria are killed. The gut lining is damaged. It can enter the bloodstream and, ironically, cause brain problems like most organophosphates. It hurts the liver. It hurts the kidney. It hurts the lungs. Sometimes the body thinks glyphosate is estrogen, which leads to reproductive disorders or infertility. So it just does a variety of horrible things. And we know this. It's been actively used as an herbicide for 50 years now. So I think it would be in the interest of wildlife, of the children, of people living here and in the future that we ban dangerous chemicals, because glyphosate is not the only chemical that is bad for, frankly, everything that breathes and lives. There are many different chemicals. We have safer alternatives. We have things that are not carcinogens and dangerous things. So I just think that it would be wise if we as a city were to work together and have all of these chemicals banned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your time.
The next speaker is Catherine Shaheen, to be followed by Monir Milioto. Catherine Shaheen, to be followed by Monir Milioto.
Thank you for coming in, ma'am.
Hi. Thank you, Mayor and City Council. So there's been so much great information, so I will keep it brief. But my name's Catherine Shaheen. I'm a resident and mom of 3. And I just wanted to come and stand up here to kind of represent all my mom friends and just express that this is a really important issue to all of us. I strongly believe that this issue impacts our entire community and presents an opportunity for our leadership to partner with citizens in creating a healthier and safer community. I strongly believe our city parks are Temecula's crown jewel. When I moved here from Orange County, I could not brag about our parks enough to all my friends. I mean, we are just blessed with an abundance of beautiful, safe, well-maintained public parks for everyone to enjoy, whether it's our senior members powering through a brisk early morning walk or our littlest citizens collecting twigs and pine cones. Our parks represent a public space for all to enjoy. But just, I wanted to share a scenario that I think every mom can relate to. It's a beautiful morning. You finally got out of the house with all your little ones and you're at the park. You want fresh air. You want them to get exercise and create some memories. Everything feels great. And then you see a work team arrive and you see them start spraying. And I've had this happen probably 15 times over the last 10 years. And you just think, they're spraying. My toddler just collected leaves there. My little girl just cartwheeled in that grass. You know, they're touching their faces, they're putting their hands in their mouths, and all of a sudden something that felt so positive and great with the best of intentions feels dangerous. And I think it's just something that, as a mom, sometimes you just feel helpless that this is bigger than something you can impact, that this is just out of reach to change. But, I was really reflecting on this, and I feel like this is something that we really can change. There's a lot of things we can't control right now. But as a city, we could really choose something different. And not only that, a lot of people have mentioned this, but I really do feel like as Temecula, we have the opportunity to really lead with this and set a new standard and really kind of pioneer something new that the other cities around us could maybe think about also adopting. So I think we have an opportunity, and I hope that we can work together to do better.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, ma'am. The next speaker is Monir Milioto, to be followed by David Sola.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, good evening, council. How are we? Good. Good afternoon. My name is Monir Miliato. I had an entire speech ready, and all these people back here came and delivered, so I don't need to say much. I'm just going to say the things that they haven't yet. I'm here to represent the community of mothers, business owners, health and wellness practitioners that were unable to be here today due to time constraints and responsibilities. I will say that today's attendance does not represent even a fraction of the community members that are sincerely concerned with the herbicide and pesticide spraying in our town. I had Dominic at 30 years old. He was born, and I felt like something was wrong. I was constantly in the chemical industry. So I did hair, I have tattoos. I was around a very actively polluted area growing up. He was my firstborn. And when he came out of my body, I saw his face and I knew something was happening. I went to doctors. I was in the medical field. I transferred out of the medical field to go into the homeopathic field. And everyone said that everything was fine. He stopped walking, talking, and pooping all at 3 years old. They were going to remove his colon and his intestines tract. After doing years of testing, I found out that he was full of chemicals that I put into his body. The guilt that I carry, no mother should ever have to experience. I would hate for you guys to experience that kind of guilt if you find out what you guys are doing are considered normal and safe practices because you don't know any better. I didn't. Now you can see he's amazing. He's healthy, and it's taken 8 years for me to get him here. So I am going to be the most annoying citizen in this city because I care about not only my children, but the future of yours, your grandchildren, and what happens to our community every single day when families have no idea what they're walking onto in their grass. I do have 4 bullet points I would like to have you guys consider today. Please look into approving a pilot program for organic turf on parks and playgrounds. Please add a consultant, a horticulturist, for a pilot program. Add a committee to support and oversee the landscaping department that meets once a month with maybe Marianne, right over here, or Jeff Beardsley. And approve a notice of spraying to the community 48 hours in advance saying herbicides have been sprayed here, and leave that notice up for 24 hours after spraying so me and Dominic don't walk on that grass. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your time.
The next speaker is David Sola, to be followed by Christine Lampy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, City Council, distinguished staff. My name is David Sola. I'm an active parent here in the city, parent of 3 wonderful kids in TVUSD and 1 graduate. And you've got, by the end of today, you're going to have dozens of reasons why you need to look into this. I think that's the entire reason why Councilman Schwank wanted to have this out here. So thank you for putting this out here to hear everybody's concerns. I also want to thank you all for being so well prepared to ask questions. You guys are really doing a great job for the rest of us out here to make sure that you're representing your constituents as well as you can. So I appreciate you all for doing that as well. I want to give you one more reason. Yes, like many of the other parents here talked about, I came to Temecula with my family in 2011. In June of 2011, I was in Afghanistan, and I got a little note saying that I had to move from North Carolina to California. And when I got here, it took me a while to try to figure out where we wanted to live. And people like Ryan Trackman convinced me that this was the best city that they had ever lived in. And when I got here, I agreed. This is the best city that I've ever seen. And this is the place that I want to die. But I don't want to die from this. And I don't want my kids to have to deal with it, okay? I put a lot of work and effort into making sure that all of the sacrifices and all of the things that I had to deal with during my 20 years of active duty service, trust me, that list of poisons that Ms. Moreno had up there, that's just a fraction of the stuff that they expose us to when we're on active duty. And I want to make sure that that list of stuff that I was exposed to, my kids never have to be exposed to anything like that, right? And, I don't want to belabor this, but I do appreciate you all looking into this, and I know you're all going to do the right thing. Just remember that for my story as an active duty Marine that decided to stay here after I retired, there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of us out there in the city in the same circumstances. So please continue to do the right thing, and please make sure we get this fixed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is Christine Lampe, to be followed by Camila Chavez. Christine Lampe, to be followed by Camila Chavez.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Good.
Good. Go ahead.
Hi. Hi, city staff of Temecula. My name is Finn, and I want to speak up against the toxic chemicals that are being sprayed where my brothers and friends play. And I urge you to please consider organic pesticides management practices for the health of our people and ecosystem.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Camila Chavez, to be followed by Alyssa Figueroa.
Hi, Miss Camila.
Hi, I'm Christine Markel Lampe.
Oh, okay. Hi, Miss Christine.
I'm a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. And in 2018, I went to the Beyond Pesticides conference that was held in Irvine. And I've been a master gardener since 2012, and I've tried to be organic, so I'm on board with a lot of this stuff. But it was really interesting to go, and they showed us an example of a schoolyard and playing field that they had done using organic methods. And it's not just a matter of switching out a product for a different product. It's actually doing different methods, which I'll mention in a little bit first. But they showed us these fields that we stood out there in bare feet. They were cushy grass, which, you probably played on. I've been a soccer referee and such, and I know I've seen fields that, you don't want to fall down on that. It hurts. But this is cushy. And they also gave us information about how water retention was, that it was saving water. And being, in Southern California, that's very important. So that was in 2018. So I came back, a few of my other Master Gardener friends had gone to this conference too, and we were talking about here in the Inland Empire, what we could do to show that these methods could work here, maybe not just coastal Irvine. And also found out, Pepperdine University, Harvard, Yale, a lot of other universities have been doing organic methods. So we studied up on it. We went and talked to the Master Gardeners. They gave us funding. We went and we found out Valverde School District was already using a lot of these methods. A lot of it is aerating the ground. So you have something with that takes out big plugs of soil out. And then you use sand and compost and push it into those open holes. So you get more aeration, you get water penetrating deeper into the soil. The idea is to get the roots healthier and growing better and deeper. So we got funding to do a couple of test studies. We were going to do Isabel Barnett Elementary School and another school over in Glenmead, Columbia Elementary. So we got started in 2019 in the summertime between the school session. We aerated the field, we put out the compost and the sand. Well, you know what happened in 2020? The schools got shut down for COVID, so we only had a few months to get our project going, and we didn't get to finish. But I would really like to encourage, there's lots of studies showing that these methods work, and it's not just a method of switching out a product, but you're aerating the ground, you're keep getting the competition of the healthy plants that you want there. In the planting beds, you use mulch, that helps keep the weeds out. There are weeding methods using steam that you can look into, and other methods with that. But thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
The next speaker is Alyssa Figueroa, to be followed by our last speaker, Antonella Bonet.
Thank you, Chris. Hi. You take your time. Take your time, Mama.
I know that everybody already said so much, so I'm just going to make it quick. My name is Alyssa Figueroa. I'm a health and wellness coach here in the city of Temecula, and I take my kids out every single day, and we also see people spraying them who are wearing these like hazmat suits while we're here in our tank tops. Like, wait, what? So it's kind of damaging to see that. You don't want to take your kids out, but you can't stay inside all day. It's awful. I feel like I resonate with a lot of Americans here who might resonate with a frog being slowly boiled in a toxic soup coming from us at all directions. We look up and there's chemtrails. We look to the left and there's people spraying. There's poison in our foods. Like, which one do we battle first? So I'm very thankful to have you guys here doing this battle for us and for stepping up and making the changes that need to be changed. So thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming in.
And then our last speaker is Antonella Bonet.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Antonella, and I'm 12 years old. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to invite all of you to take a little trip back in time. Close your eyes just for a moment and imagine what it was like when you were kids. Picture children running barefoot through the grass, families having picnics in the park, kids climbing trees, catching butterflies, rolling down hills, and playing until the streetlights came on. Parents weren't wondering if the playground had been sprayed that morning. They weren't checking online to see when the last herbicide and the pesticide application was. They weren't worrying that simply touching the grass might expose their children to something harmful. They were enjoying life the way childhood is supposed to be. Now let's come back to today. Good morning. Today's kids are growing up in a completely different world. Before we buy food, we read every label. We look for products that are organic. We avoid artificial colors, preservatives, parabens, synthetic fragrances, and unnecessary chemicals. We spend extra money trying to buy cleaner foods, cleaner skincare products, cleaner cosmetics, and safer products for our homes because we know that we're exposed to matters. We're becoming more aware of every day of what we put in our bodies. So why, after being so careful about everything else, we knowingly spray chemicals in the places where children play every day? Parks, neighborhoods, schools, walking trails, wineries, the places that should be the safest for families. It makes me wonder, when did protecting weeds become more important than protecting people? When did convenience become more important than finding safer solutions for our communities? I understand that weeds need to be managed, that keeping Temecula beautiful is important, but beautiful should never come at the expense of public health, that when there are more opportunities to reduce unnecessary chemical exposure. Many cities across the country and the world are exploring safer ways to manage weeds by reducing herbicide use, using alternative methods, or spraying only when truly necessary. If they can take steps, why can't we? As kids, we should be worrying about school, sports, and making memories with our friends, not whether the grass we want to sit on was sprayed yesterday. No child should have to wonder if it's safe to play tag in the park. No parent should have to choose between letting their children enjoy nature or worrying about unnecessary chemical exposure. The adults in this room make decisions that shape our future. My generation will have to inherit. Please choose prevention. Please choose safer alternatives whenever possible. Please choose the health of the children and families who call Temecula home. I love this city. I want Temecula to be known not only for its beautiful parks, neighborhoods, and wineries, but for being a city that values the health of people just as much as it values its appearance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Alrighty, I just want to thank all the speakers for coming up, and I just also want to thank the kids for coming up as well. You parents obviously have done a great job being able to get them up to the podium. That's pretty scary as an adult, so thank you all for bringing them up and your comments. All right, at this point in time, we are going to move into discussion with the council, so I'm going to look to my left, seeing, something since Councilmember Schwenk, since you brought this up, I'd like to see if you'd like to kick it off.
Sure, yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'll just start with a few sort of points and thoughts and then pass it on to my colleagues, and we can kind of have a back and forth. So I too want to thank everyone for coming out. I knew when I brought this item that the community would certainly step up, and you all did, coming in time with your children and showing up like this. I really appreciate that because I think it's important. But I also recognize that, and as someone mentioned, it is just a fraction of the people that genuinely care about this. I think this is a time for us to move on this. I think it's a time that we're ripe for this sort of thing, and I'm very confident we're going to get there. It's just sort of how do we get there? Someone mentioned like a feeling of helplessness, and there are times where you think of like the system is so large, the system is so big, things are set in stone. There's like this path dependence, like corporations have captured so much of our environment. And you see that even, I'm working on a class at UCR on the regulatory environment, and the corporations have essentially captured the regulatory environment, right? And they're writing the rules. They are this like revolving circle of they're working in Congress, then they're working for these corporations and so forth. But they've also captured the public narrative. Like these things are normal. Like you should go buy these things at the store. We're going to make it so easy for you. Like then you can go relax and have a barbecue and drink beers or sit in the hot tub or whatever. Like they've captured a whole segment of our lives, and everyone's just like, well, this is just normal. This is just how we do. These are the things that we do. But I think, again, we're sort of ripe for change in our communities especially, with a more healthy approach, not only to the food we eat, but the environment that we are in. I've spent a fair bit of time recently, and Mayor Pro Tem Ron and myself spent some time at a showing, a premiere of a documentary that the Pechanga tribe put on. And the way that the Pechanga people talk about the environment is so special and so powerful that I can't help but when I'm listening to them talk about this, like we're missing the point here of like what we're doing, and I think there's something there. I think the city can certainly like set the tone for the entire community because we have HOAs that are doing things. There's outside agencies. TVUSD is also doing different things. We share facilities with the school district, and so like if we're going to implement these policies, I certainly like the school district to be on board so that they're also doing that as well. My biggest concern with this going forward is the city control, right? So we have contracts, and it's the oversight I think is the most important piece, and then making sure there's compliance on their end, right? Because we can formulate a policy and we can direct staff to implement that policy, and a contractor could get hired, but there needs to be that compliance piece. We need to make sure that this is what they're saying they're doing is actually what they're doing. So I think that's important. We talk a lot about, our city moving from like a growth city to a maintenance city, and I see this as like this evolution, right? Like, so in the future, we might not build as many new things, but we're taking a different like philosophical approach to how we care for the things that we have. And I think if you look at our roadway network, it is extensive. It is a massive amount of space. Our parklands, our open space, these are things that I think going forward, we're going to have just a little bit of a shift on how we care for the environment and those spaces. So I think we're at a good space for like this sort of change of focus. And then finally, I'll leave with this last little bit and then turn it over to my colleagues. The regenerative ag movement in our area, I think, is quite large, right? There's a lot happening in that space, from wine country to some of the things the speaker was mentioning, from like the primal pastures and e-marketplace. And there's like this movement happening, right? Well, TVHS has a regenerative ag program, and I've known Megan Mannion for many, many years, who runs that program, and it's a fantastic program. I think we could learn a lot from what they're doing there, especially as we've brought a new garden online at the Margarita Rec Center. We're talking about the potential of a nice community garden at the Santiago lot. And you could really think of like this regenerative ag sort of trail from TVHS through to Santiago lot to businesses in Old Town, where you could really start to focus on healthy foods as well, right? Like, so restore the soil, start growing really good crops that give our students a place to work and intern, and then our businesses are able to use that stuff. So like sort of thinking back to, I don't want to say like back in my day, but I grew up in the country. I grew up many years ago where, much like the speaker was saying, like, you picked your own weeds. Like, my dad's like, get outside, dude, make it happen. Like, we don't do that anymore, right? People are just spraying. I think we need to get back to a little simpler sort of life, and not in a hokey way, but maybe we need to drink a little bit more from the hose and less from the bottled water, and do a little bit more yard work, and think about the way that we're living. And then the city we want to turn over to the next generation of kids that are here, that are going to stay here because this is a wonderful place to live, and like, what are we handing over? So I'll leave it there for now, and I'm certainly really excited to hear from my colleagues. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Zach. Brendan, would you like to go next?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I just want to start off like my colleagues and thank city staff for all the information you presented and the research you compiled. But most importantly, thank you to the community for coming out today. Just like the Save Temecula group that wears a sea of yellow, you guys wore your sea of green. And one thing we all love about this community is when you care about something and you're passionate about something, you show up, and you always do that. And I know I speak for all of us when I can say that it is truly an honor to be up here representing you. And you guys just show up day in and day out, and it's truly breathtaking to listen to all the public comments and see how much you guys genuinely care. With that being said, I've met with Mary Ann and the Toxic Free Temecula group for a couple months now. And myself and the mayor, I've also met with the group multiple times. And we've heard more of what city staff said. And I think that we all have the same goal, and that is to keep Temecula beautiful and also to keep it safe. And I think we can do that, but we have an opportunity to do better. And Temecula, like many of the public speakers said, should lead the way on that. And with that, I want to, just so we go through discussion, I want my colleagues to know where I stand and some tangible goals I want to look to accomplish tonight and long term. And one of them is I want to create a long-term policy that continues reducing pesticide use wherever it's practical and effective. And with that, some more goals is I want to make safe alternatives the default and chemical pesticides used as a last resort. And we need to make them as the rule, the safe alternatives, not the exception, which would be a flip in our current contracts with these pesticide agencies. I also think it's important to create these pesticide-free and these toxic-free zones. And those can be parks, playgrounds, splash pads, dog parks, things of that nature. Because we heard a lot about signage tonight and how we should post signage 48 hours in advance and 24 hours after. And that becomes not only cumbersome on the businesses or the contracts that we negotiate with and then putting up signs and taking down signs, but we talk about the beauty of Temecula. I think it'd be more important in the long term to have toxic-free zones. And we can even have a sign that says, hey, this park does not use any toxins, right? There's no pesticide use here. There's no herbicide use here. So I think that would be important to create those toxic-free zones. And I also want to look into, and we can discuss this with city staff, is looking into an online map where citizens can go and see where pesticide is used in the city. I think that would be important. And it may be more cumbersome to go online and to look at what park uses these pesticides, but I think it's important to have an online navigational tool because so many things are used online this day and age. And I think another tangible goal that we should look into is a measurable goal, right? Either we reduce pesticide use by 25% within 12 months or 2 years or whatever it may be, but measurable goals that we can look to long term, or we can look to and point to and say, hey, we accomplished this and we accomplished that. But ultimately, Temecula is beautiful, and we have an opportunity here to keep it beautiful, but also make it safer for the future generation. And that's what it's all about up here, right? It's about the community, it's about the families, and we have an opportunity here tonight to move forward in the right direction. So those are the few of the tangible goals and things I'm looking to accomplish, and I think that we can all get on the same page here. But I loved what someone said over there. You know, we've been talking about people over power lines, but it's also people over poison. Again, I'm just so proud to represent you in this community. All the parents that had their kids come up and speak at the podium, you must be so proud. Mr. Trackman, you must be so proud of your son. That guy's going places. What an educated and well-spoken speech. But that's all. I'm just proud to listen to the community and hear what you all had to say. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much, Kalfas. Do you want to go? We'll go out then in.
All right. Well, you know, I am 100% on board with what I see as the new normal. I really do see that this is going to become the new normal, this chemical-free, poison-free park systems and just life in general, because it really is, it is something that just looking at Ladera Ranch, I have a barbershop over in Ladera Ranch, so I know all about what's happening over in Ladera Ranch. So it's a real thing. I'm very much in support of like a pilot program for sure. If we could, you know, pick a park or two and do just like Brendan said, let's go chemical free and let's see what it looks like. Let's actually experiment with the good stuff instead of the bad stuff. I also like the notification ask that we notify what chemicals and when they were sprayed, so the public can actually have the good sense to either go there or not go there. You know, and the aeration thing. Now, I moved here in 1991, and there was a guy that literally went around to everybody and asked to aerate their yard, and so I had my lawn aerated, which takes out the chunks, and then you fertilized right after that. And the grass just literally exploded. When she said it was cushiony, she was not kidding. It literally makes such a huge difference. And I don't know if we aerate. I don't know if, do you know that they aerate public works?
We do, we aerate our parks.
Okay. Yeah, because that's a huge factor when it comes to making those parks really beautiful. But whatever we can do to, you know, chemical free these parks, I'm all in favor of. So, and like I said, I really do see this as becoming the new normal. I think agencies that push back against this are doing it for other reasons, whether they're lazy, whether it's just the way they've always done it or whatever. But I do see we're going to have to make changes. So I'm totally on board.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, sir.
So I might be uniquely qualified in the discussion because, you know, I used to be the director for environmental sciences programs at universities and spent a career doing public health and watershed management, run cancer research projects today, and you know, deeply understand what everybody is talking about. So, but I want to start with a little bit of history, so we're all kind of on the same page here, because I've heard a lot of things tonight that, you know, this is something, you know, we've never done this before, this is new, or our kids are experiencing something. No, we're not. You know, we were rolling around in the same grass with all the same herbicides, pesticides, rodenticides, fungicides. You know, you got to remember, years ago, the air in Los Angeles was so dirty you couldn't even see across the street. Rivers were catching on fire on a regular basis. The ozone was being depleted at a rate that was phenomenal. Lead in our atmosphere and in our communities was at such a high pitch, it was causing such neurologic damage in our communities because we were putting in our gasoline, and it turned out for no actual reason. Love Canal, if you remember that, and some of the major Superfund sites and contamination that occurred in the United States, acid rain. If you're a kid of the 80s, you have to remember acid rain. That seemed like the world was coming to an end at that point, right? And then, you know, by the 1970s, the use of DDT was so ubiquitous that the national symbol, the bald eagle of our country, was going extinct because of this. Now, you can look across that whole list and say, we have done some phenomenal work in the United States to go from post-industrial revolution, where we took on this responsibility for major food production, major agriculture, major silviculture, ranching, meat production, all of those things, and we came up with solutions to have a society that we tried to grow and manage. And at the same time, our cities all decided that we want large parks and open space and recreation areas, and with that comes squirrels and rodents and gophers and mosquitoes and black widow spiders, and go down the list, and then weeds and other things that if you don't keep on top of this stuff, it literally destroys millions of dollars in infrastructure. So we have this inherent struggle of, we love a beautiful city, we love the way it looks. You know what one of the most unnatural things out there is? A beautiful soccer field full of, all the same monoculture of grass. That is not nature at all, right? Absolutely do not think that in any way that is nature. That is human-made, and it takes a lot to manage that because it's constantly being inundated with threats to its integrity. And so we have this expectation that we provide soccer fields and we do all of these things in our community and provide a look, an aesthetic, and a feel. And at the same time, I 100% agree that we have a responsibility to public safety and public health. That is a primary responsibility that we have. Glyphosate was discussed quite a bit. Why is that being used? I actually know the folks, and one person in particular who happened to be a former dean or associate dean over at Cal State, who actually invented Roundup. It wasn't done maliciously. It wasn't done, intentionally to harm the environment. It was done for a good reason, which was there was a product need. And to this day, I will say one thing about glyphosate. It remains one of the most widely used herbicides in habitat and restoration projects for sensitive endangered species and watershed management. Why is that? Because it works, right? If used properly, it actually does work. And it is recognized by land trusts, conservation groups, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, national parks, U.S. Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, state parks. All these organizations use these products because it works if used properly. But that's, I think, the rub, right, is that if used properly and if the public knows about it. Now, why are these, companies sending out folks to distribute pesticides and herbicides wearing the bunny suits? Because that's an OSHA requirement, right? And because we've seen lifelong exposures to folks who fill that role dying of cancer because of that lack of protection. Now, do we need to notice the public when we're doing these things in our parks and other areas? 100%. I don't disagree with that at all. But I'm not aware, and maybe it's just because I don't know the answer to this, if we do broadcast spray on soccer fields or parks or grass and, play areas, are we doing that as a city?
Currently, no, we're not doing that. And it's just applied by the methods and means of the contract and under the thresholds that are being asked for.
Okay. Because I share all those same concerns. And so we do need the checks and balances in place. And if things have happened, also remember, and I think it was a salient point earlier, is that some of our contractors are working for other people and other lands and other properties in Temecula and do not follow our same guidelines. I will back up for a moment and give this city and Public Works and others a big round of applause for their transition to integrated pest management and integrated vegetation management since I got on council more than a decade ago. Because when I first got on council, this was a question that came up. We had very similar conversations. Your organization didn't exist. I'm curious if you could tell me when it was formed. Yeah. Okay, so I appreciate that because it is a new organization. I think you serve a very important, critical role in the community, and we're glad that you came out here in force to communicate with us, 100%. But I want to be clear that in my time on the council, I have seen some remarkable transitions in the way past practices were used. And so there is a desire by our staff and our city and the folks working here in this council to make sure we're, up to speed. We appreciate the kick in the shorts a little bit here because I think it's an important conversation. And Zach, I appreciate you bringing this forward. But I think we have to be cautious in this because one of my experiences back when I was, writing watershed management plans, in the early 2000s, dioxin was the chemical du jour, right? That everybody was saying we have to remove this from the environment and it's this horrible thing and it kills aquatic insects and up the food chain and blah, blah, blah. And it did. There's no doubt it did. And so California made a very aggressive move, unlike the rest of the country, to ban the use of dioxins in the state. And so if you remember, you used to buy those like bags of pesticides for like killing your ants around the house. And you'd see people just rip the top off and kind of shake it around the perimeter. If you read the instructions, it was like 2 tablespoons per treatment, right? But people were just using this stuff. And so part of the problem was its use. Part of the problem was, it was a very dangerous chemical. That very next year, all of that stuff was pulled off the shelves of Home Depots and Lowe's and everywhere else. And that very next year, we had a slew of brand new chemicals that promised to be better, that had never been tested, and have never been used in the environment. And so one of the cautionary notes that we need to be aware of as a city is natural does not mean safe. Lots of natural products have all sorts of compounds in them that pose a threat to human health, including carcinogenic threats. And so just saying, we're going to use, peppermint oils or whatever, it sounds holistic, it sounds nice, but trust me, there's a lot of things out there, and a lot of our synthetic compounds are based off of products that we have found in natural systems. So I want to make sure that as we have this conversation, we're all very aware of the decisions we're making, because it's not just like flipping a switch. So I cannot emphasize that enough. I'm not prepared tonight to start making decisions on what next steps need to look like, because I agree. I think there needs to be a subcommittee on this. I think we need to have a reasonable conversation about this. I think we are ready for a next phase of what we should be doing to bring Temecula to a safer standard. I love the idea of doing a pilot park where it's a toxin-free zone and see if that thing just gets inundated with gophers, weeds, and mosquitoes, because those are the serious questions that we have to answer, right? And we want to make sure we're making good decisions and not supplanting it with something else that causes other additional problems. So I love the concepts. I want to see this move forward, support the concept 100%, but just know that in my experience, this takes a lot of caution in moving forward. And I would really urge the council to do so with a lot of good information, a lot of evidence-based support. And let me tell you, this is the unfortunate thing. And again, we do a lot of research on cancer. Firefighters in the room will recognize that they are inundated with new products all the time that are going to save them from cancer-causing substances. And we've looked at those things, and it's like either it's simply not true or it's causing a whole new problem entirely. And that's what I don't want to do is make a decision that has a secondary impact that we are not aware of. So 100% support what we're doing. Love to be able to help the city in this. And again, just want to provide kudos to the city, because I don't want you guys to feel like you're just being beat up, because you've made some remarkable strides since I've been here. I just think it's time that we do more. So thank you.
All right. Well, I just want to thank all my council members, and again, thank the public.
Can I say one thing? My son took my turn to talk.
I can't since it already ended up happening, but at the end, there are public comments. So you can, at the end of the meeting, if you'd like to stay, you can be able to use that. Okay, thank you, ma'am. That being said, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and being here. I know a lot of people had their kids, they went home about the time for dinner. So that being said, I have the same viewpoint as every single council member here is I support exactly what you're doing. I know myself and Marianne and a couple individuals from our meeting had the opportunity to talk, and you guys know a little bit, 10 years plus as a health coach and wellness area of the field area, and I just, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I know it's an uphill battle. I know that this for the last, I would say 10 to 15 plus years, right around there, it's really been exploding. I know coming from the East Coast to here, when I moved to California, I was very excited because I was like, oh, they're so healthy over there. And it's just very different from the East Coast and how they do things over here. And I was very excited about that. Everything from the food to the products that we put on our body. And over time, I really do believe that we're seeing more and more people going down that route, eating organic, every bit we can to get good products onto us or into us. So I just want to say thank you because I understand that perspective. That being said, I have several notes here. You know, even in our house, we use the organic stuff outside. So when I have bugs in my house, well, I don't have them because we spray, and we actually spray with all of the essential oils, and I ensure of that whenever we're at my house, that I'm taking care of my kids and also my animals, and I want to make sure that those chemicals, or the least amount of chemicals, are coming into my house as possible. So I understand that, and it sounds like we're working towards that and a better area. I agree with having the opportunity to have toxic-free parks. I think that's a great way to start. Again, kind of like Councilman Ron was saying, there's trying to strike this balance, right? We want to make sure we're moving in the right direction. We want to make sure we're taking care of our kids. You know, something that came to me right away is how can we put a price tag on health? And we can't. There is no price tag, but we do have to be smart and we have to be strategic with the money and the funds that come in, but we do have to start moving. And so I'm going to be at this point in time today wanting to move forward and roll that out. But again, very strategically, very carefully with this council and our staff. I did a quick search while I was here too on my phone, and I was looking up different countries that have banned glyphosate throughout the world, and there's lots. So I take a look, countries that have banned it through household use, just a couple, Australia, Belgium, and France. Also, Vietnam has fully banned it as far as glyphosate, and Germany also from public use as well. And so, you know, this is, again, moving in the right direction to protect our kids, our neighbors. I am definitely a part of. You know, if I can throw out one more thing, going back to the health coach thing, I don't know how many of you have realized how health-wise, when you look at the spraying that has gone on our food, how sick people have gotten. I know because of the glyphosate, the spraying, I've had to now get rid of gluten and different types of foods. And I'm looking, yep, you're shaking your heads. You guys know exactly what I'm saying. Because of the type of chemicals that are being put in our foods. And so what is that, again, doing to our bodies when we're rolling around in it with our kids? So with that being said, I want to also encourage our state representatives to step up. So I know that Kate Sanchez has reached out to me and wanting to find out more information about this, and as she's moving forward. But also I want to encourage Kelly Ciarto as well to start seeing, maybe is there funding that we can start bringing in, that if there is a pilot program here in Temecula or in another region, can we get funding to start trying that, seeing what it's like? So my position today would be to let's have that discussion here with the council, whether one or a few parks, to be able to start seeing, is this going to be good? How do we do it? Let's do it the right way. So if we do want to expand, which I'm hearing we can do so. So to the council, one of the things I'm going to ask, I know initially I walked in and seeing, hey, maybe we'll do one park in one area, which we could do. My question is would we want to start one in each of our districts, giving our residents an opportunity to be able to go to a park in their area? And I think Kalfas or Zach, you had said maybe putting an area, hey, this is a pesticide-free, herbicide-free park, and just seeing what happens. Again, we can start with one, but it'd be pretty interesting to at least have one in each area as kids are able to get out to a park close to their home. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to anybody else who wants to kind of chime in or make a motion to go from here.
Mayor, if I might.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that your agenda tonight does not have any action on it. It was just to receive the presentation from staff, general discussion, receive public comment. You can give general direction to staff, and then maybe they can come back to you with some specific recommendations.
Absolutely, yeah. So any other discussion that we'd like to have? Anything further for movement on staff and staff?
No, I mean, I think, so I appreciate the clarification because I thought we were getting a little squirrely. I mean, I'd certainly love the city manager's office to work with, if possible, an existing subcommittee to work through this item. Obviously, you've heard the feedback from everyone up here. You can sort of take that to the next level, because I do think, like, you know, and I'll say this, it is an absolute pleasure to sit a couple seats away from Mayor Pro Tem Ron and the knowledge that you have and that you bring to this. And I genuinely appreciate that, because you add something that just is nice to have. But I do think it would be nice for us to work through a subcommittee, a public-facing subcommittee where we can engage the public. People can come and attend. We can work with our Parks Department, because, as was mentioned, you're doing a great job. Stacy, you are killing it out there. I mean, clearly, by the amount of comments that we see from how well our parks are, to people saying, I moved from Orange County and these are the best parks around, you've been doing a killer job on our parks, and so we appreciate that. But it would be nice to sit down and sort of look at the parks we have and everything in a more detailed level, and I think we could do that at a subcommittee. So I think if you know, the city manager's okay with that approach to me would seem reasonable, and then we can sort of come up with a more comprehensive plan moving forward to check off some of the boxes that everyone brought up.
No, it's a great point. And just one question I do have, a city manager, is there a subcommittee currently that is in place that at least we can start the conversation, and then if we need to move into a different subcommittee that we can, or what is your thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think it fits the description for the Park and Recreation Subcommittee, which
That's what I was thinking.
is also a noticed subcommittee, so we're required legally to notice it. Members of the public come to that routinely. They can speak on items. That would be one option available to the council this evening. If you wanted to create your own separate council or subcommittee specific to just this topic, that is another option. We'd have to bring that back with a description and so forth.
Okay. Yes, Ron?
Yeah, I'm not confident Parks and Rec is necessarily the right place, because it's not just the park and recreation facilities that we are managing through Public Works. I mean, it's also the medians, it's the, you know, it's the entire city, right? So while I appreciate that, I'm not sure that's necessarily the right home.
My thought, if you just pause for a second, go back and forth on this. My thought is, do we want to kind of start there somewhere? Because what I'm hearing from everybody is it's our parks. We want to start in our parks. Do we start the conversation and taking a look at what are we doing, what everything costs, start at the park area, and then we can expand from there and see how deep that goes? Because right now, we don't even know where we're going with this. It sounds like we might even have an area or two or more where we're going to start this pilot program possibly. So just to get the conversation started.
That's why I would recommend a separate subcommittee on it, because obviously the scope is going to be a lot broader than parks. And so if you place it under there, it can start there, you know, certainly, but.
And that's what I'm thinking, just to start.
I'm just saying, why start it there if we could just get it to the place it needs to be ultimately, and not have that pause in, because it's going to go scope creep pretty quickly and go outside of what the subcommittee was established for.
Okay.
And candidly, I wouldn't want it to, you know, if we've got some good best practices that, you know, we find, you know, in the conversation that could start happening, you know, next month, I also wouldn't want to see that limited to just parks either.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Madam Mayor and City Council, just an FYI, just a thought, we do have a Public Works subcommittee that is noticed.
Okay.
And it's just Public Works.
Okay. Yes, Brendan.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, thank you very much. I would agree with Mayor Pro Tem Ron, where I think this deserves its own subcommittee. And I think just a standalone issue like this deserves the attention of a standalone subcommittee. And I know that, you know, the Parks and Rec subcommittee and the Public Works subcommittee have different individuals on it, but I know that for sure Mayor Pro Tem with his expertise should be on there. And I know he's not in the Parks and Rec subcommittee. And at the time, they can bring it back in 2 weeks, and we got to have the subcommittee then. And then I'm sure we'll all lobby for the second person to be on the subcommittee, but I think a standalone subcommittee would be best, and then we can discuss the pilot. I just want to hit on that the tangible goals that I went through. I think is important because right, if this goes to a subcommittee, the three individuals not on the subcommittee won't hear from that subcommittee until they report back at City Council, and the public won't hear until they report back at City Council. So it's just important to know the long-term goals and the tangible goals that I think the subcommittee should work towards. But that is it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so at this point in time, city manager, is there any more information that you're needing? And I guess it sounds like we're going to have to bring it back to the next city council to be able to vote on approving a ad hoc subcommittee for this agenda item. Is that correct?
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
And if that's the consensus tonight, that's what we'll prepare for, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. City council can appoint designated representatives to serve on this with a defined scope of work for the ad hoc, and we could set parameters to come back and report back to the full council periodically if that's your desire for those that aren't participating on the subcommittee as well.
Outstanding. All right, well, it sounds like we're all in favor of that. So yes, thank you very much for that. Anything else you're needing from us at this point?
Nothing tonight, just maybe a comment to the folks that came this evening. We heard a lot about not this, but we didn't hear a lot about what those alternatives are or what they look like. Now, none of us up here, at least I'll speak for myself, are an expert in alternative chemicals or organic chemicals that will have the effectiveness that we're looking for. I am familiar with Firehawk, which is the product that was shared with us when we met. To my knowledge, that has not been necessarily cleared by the EPA. It is being kind of a test run by the city of Irvine, from what I understand. I don't know if there's been enough time to sort of determine if that's a viable product. I don't even know what those alternatives would be if we go down a pilot project yet, but I guess we will get into that and the research associated with what those alternative products would look like. So I just wanted to put that out there.
All righty. Thank you very much for your time. Mr. Marino, thank you for your wonderful vocabulary with all of those chemicals. I appreciate you.
I missed a couple.
All righty. All right, so let's move on. I am actually going to move another item forward. I see our yellow shirts still hanging on tight. So we're going to stay within our business items. Let me put my glasses back on here. All right. All right, let's move right ahead to 18. Does council need to take a break at all? No, we're good. All right, we're going to power through it. That's going to be our slogan for today. Number 18, under business, we're going to receive status update on the city's efforts to oppose the San Diego Gas and Electric Golden Pacific Powerlink project and provide information about city impacts to San Diego Gas and Electric, California Independent System Operators, and California Utility Commissions. If we can get a report from Aaron Adams.
Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Yes, it is evening. Good evening. As promised, I plan to provide an update to the public on the City of Temecula's actions to oppose SDG&E's Golden Pacific Powerlink project at each council meeting. The purpose allows transparency for the public. It also allows all of you to discuss together here at the dais. This report will be an update since we last met on July 14th, just 2 weeks ago. A reminder to the public, the city cannot share information that is attorney-client privilege or attorney work product. That being said, staff has met or talked with our attorneys every single day for the last 2 weeks, and then some, sometimes multiple times a day since our last meeting. As mentioned, I believe I have slides. Oh, thank you. As mentioned before, a sample list of experts are on the screen and may expand as needed. The attorney-client and work product privileges apply to our experts contracted via attorney-client privilege clauses. We are reaching out to our stakeholders and future stakeholders and meeting with them, particularly those who have legal counsel on this project and joining as an intervener or possibly. I can assure you that more stakeholders will be added to the growing list, which is on our city's webpage. One meeting that we can share is that we met with energy staff at the CPUC last week. This was very productive, and the CPUC staff appeared to listen. We also plan to have future meetings. While they have been working with SDG&E, we don't think they knew of all of the many issues with this route through Temecula. We went through a long list of city concerns with the route through Temecula. This list included more than my initial letter a month ago, as our list of concerns is growing as we continue to learn more from experts and stakeholders. SDG&E told the CPUC they expect to file a Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity, or a CPCN, application in November 2026. It will include a draft EIR. The CPUC welcomes the city to provide alternative routes and input from Temecula and all the stakeholders. The CPUC emphasized SDG&E is preparing draft alternatives, but that does not constrain the range of alternatives that the CPUC can review. CPUC agreed that obtaining SDG&E's original route was important for an analysis of routing and will pursue it. We encourage the public to visit SDG&E's website for their updated information. We can expect in-person open houses to begin in August based on what SDG&E shared at the Fallbrook Planning Group meeting, which was held on Monday, July 20th, and we did have city staff also attend to observe that town hall. We were told previously by SDG&E they would host an in-person open house in Temecula. The CPUC staff also suggested a Temecula would be important given the high population. We reached out directly to SDG&E to see if we could help find a venue for them in August. Just a reminder, our webpage continues to grow, and it is where the public can find city information that we can share. We will add the growing list of media coverage. Just Google Golden Pacific Powerlink, and you'll find quite a bit. We encourage everyone to follow us on social media, as we will post information and reminders when needed. We encourage everyone to sign up for the City of Temecula's e-blast, as the city will email information and reminders as needed. That's it for now. The update is short. However, we are spending a lot of energy and a lot of time on this project and the many concerns we are facing with SDG&E's route through the City of Temecula. Madam Mayor, that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, City Manager, for that great report. Does council have any questions for staff or City Manager? Okay, seeing as none, you did a great job. Let's move into public comments. Do we have any public comments?
We do, Madam Mayor. We have 3 in-person speakers, and if there is anybody that would like to speak on this item online, please go ahead and raise your hand. The first speaker is Natalie Garcia, to be followed by Melanie Neiman.
Is Natalie here? Oh, hi, Miss Natalie.
After Natalie, we have Melanie Neiman, followed by our last speaker, Cheryl Kunrad.
Hi, Miss Natalie and team.
Mayor and City Council, I've met most of you. I am the Community Outreach Manager for Safe Temecula, and we have been very active in the community to increase awareness of the current PowerLink route proposed by SDG&E. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge each and everyone standing behind me in a yellow shirt. This team has an unwavering passion and commitment to protect our children, our safety, our health, and our community at large. They have given day after day, weekend after weekend of their personal time in 90 to 100 degree heat to raise awareness. Thanks to our hard work at recent events, we've already seen a strong bump in numbers, but we're not done yet. What are we doing to increase awareness specifically? If you follow us on social media, you see us all over town. We've attended City Hall concert nights, the Sunset Market, movie nights, and it's only just the beginning. We have distributed flyers door to door to over 95% of all homes south of Temecula Parkway in 8 weeks. We have created mapping to track our flyer distribution efforts, and we won't stop until every Temecula resident is informed. We have also distributed at grocery stores and farmers markets. Save Temecula shows a level of transparency with the community that SDG&E can never match. SDG&E may be years ahead of us, but they have underestimated the strength, the power, and the commitment to this fight that these volunteers and our residents have. We will show up at every council meeting, every scoping meeting, from Temecula to Sacramento to San Francisco. We will represent in this fight until we win. This team will never quit on this community. We will not allow a billion-dollar energy company to ruin the health and safety of the community. We will not jeopardize our children's lives. For Vail Ranch Middle School and preschools along the creek, It is unacceptable to allow these extra high voltage lines to be approved by the CPUC. We should not have to be worried about our children having EMF exposure while sitting in classrooms for 7 to 8 hours a day, just feet away from power lines. The same goes for EMF exposure for the homes backing the creek and near to the creek. We did not buy homes with a power line behind us. We do not want to go to bed at night for 8 hours with EMF exposure, night after night. To our community, we are building momentum. We were at 5,400 signatures on Memorial Day, and we have increased petition signatures to nearly 12,000. Talk to your neighbors, your coworkers, your friends. Every signature we can get is a stand against what threatens our community, and it starts with each of us uniting and acting. Join us at events. Be visible and vocal. Join us at the rally at the Duck Pond this Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Let your voice be heard loud and clear. By showing, no, I don't. Yeah, right there, you're good. Yeah. By showing up, you're taking a stand to protect Temecula's future and the future generations to come after us. We are actively involved in engaging with the youth voice. This is why we show up. This is why we fight. And we will win. I can speak for all of us standing here when I say thank you, City Councilman and Mayor, for your unwavering support. We appreciate all of you tremendously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you tremendously.
So I have speaker slips from two other people, Melanie Neiman and Cheryl Coonrod.
Thank you, Melanie.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, and staff. My name is Melanie Neiman, and I would like to express both my gratitude and my dismay regarding San Diego Gas and Electric's Golden Pacific Power Link. I am thankful for the opposition efforts by the City Council and city staff, Save Temecula, which is the nonprofit developed to address this issue, and also our residents and our businesses. Our neighboring communities have even joined in, Murrieta, Menifee, Winchester, Wildemar, and beyond. Why? Because they also enjoy visiting our beautiful city and cannot imagine it looking like an industrial corridor. For obvious reasons, which I'll bring back to you later, I am dismayed and fearful of SDG&E's proposed power link. 200-foot towers and buzzing power lines would be constructed only hundreds of feet from my home, as well as parks, schools, churches, playgrounds, and so forth that overlook the Temecula Creek. SDG&E's community outreach efforts have been lackluster. Their introduction to our community consisted of a postcard sent to only a few hundred residents along the entire 140-mile power link corridor. It was an invitation to participate in a virtual meeting to discuss the power link. Not face-to-face, a virtual meeting. This meeting felt disingenuous, lacking in transparency, and was one-way communication where they dodged important questions. And although the most effective received a postcard and a virtual meeting, most residents of Temecula were not notified. And I realize, that's a legal technicality. So therefore, Safe Temecula team has been working day and night to inform residents of this project because they will all be affected. This community outreach is not easy. These people in Temecula, they are commuters, they have busy lives, they have families. We also have very little media outreach and coverage here in our area. The SDG&E Power Link is a topic with more questions than answers. We still have only the original cartoonish map to show people and no subject matter experts for residents to consult. The Golden Pacific Power Link, as proposed, is not the Temecula way. It's not the American way. Our city, state, and country cannot normalize these business practices, also known as power and profits over people. Let's turn this around, people over power lines. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
And our last speaker, Cheryl, welcome.
Hi, Miss Cheryl. And helper.
Greetings, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm Cheryl Coonrod, and this is my daughter, Jacqueline. We have concerns for all of Temecula residents with regards to the evacuation route with a possible power line install. Both Jacqueline and myself have lived through a fire incident in Murrieta in an unincorporated area of Tinaja. We were enveloped in complete darkness when we received the OK call to evacuate. This is after being previously told to wait. After we got the OK to call to evacuate, we had to only use our memory of the roads while evacuating. I must tell you that was impossible because the roads are curvy. And coincidentally, one of our neighbors did lose their entire home. It burned down within minutes. The implementation of a power link could prohibit residents from evacuating in a timely manner or even at all, putting residents, pets, and property at serious risk of peril. I'm going to turn it over to Jacqueline.
So going off what my mother addressed previously, the fire we lived through greatly influenced our lives and our decision to move to Temecula. We wanted to move to a safer community in which we could live. In fact, this fire was so impactful that it helped me to decide upon my master's thesis capstone project where I studied wildfires, namely the Palisade Fire, and how fires impact on communities, environmentally, and socially. My study involved going to community meetings and hearing the firsthand experience and horrors residents faced. One main recurring theme brought up was evacuation routes. I don't know if you've heard, but the Palisades, one of their communities, only had one main road going in and out. This made it a logistical nightmare for residents trying to evacuate, but also impacted first responder response times as cars were abandoned. We're concerned because of what is being said about the power link and how they need to be de-energized before we're allowed to evacuate. How is that going to impact Temecula Parkway? We have schools along this route. Are we really going to let students sit and wait for these power links to be de-energized with the potential for these schools to be lit on fire? What are we doing to combat that? Are there going to be additional infrastructure created so schools and residents can be evacuated safely and in a timely manner? That is my main concern because, as we said, we were told to wait by officials. Wait to evacuate. We need our first responders to go in and respond. I was a teenager at the time, and I don't want any other teenagers, kids, pets, parents to have to go through that themselves. So with that, I rest. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, ladies. And is that it for public comments? Okay. All right. Thank you all for coming in. We appreciate you guys very much. I know you guys are out there continuously dropping information and talking to the residents and the business owners, so thank you again. Any comments from staff? Not staff. You guys are council. Any comments from council? No? Okay. Yes, please.
Hey, so I remember back in the Liberty Quarry days, we had bumper stickers. Do you guys remember this? And it was Temecula is wine country, not mine country. And they were floating around for quite a while. I'm just throwing it out there. You guys want to throw together some bumper stickers? Temecula is wine country, not line country. Just throwing it out there.
All right. Thank you. I think you told me that one a couple weeks ago, too. So, Stu, anything on your end? Okay. All right. That being said, we do have to, since we had a discussion on it a little bit or a comment, we do need to put a motion towards this just because of the social media that we do put out. So that being said, would anybody like to make a motion?
Move to approval.
All right. Second? Okay. Moved and seconded. Let's vote. And I would expect nothing different but a 5-0. Great job. Thank you, guys. Thank you again, Yellow Shirts, for coming out. Keep up the great work. Stay hydrated. All right, so we are down to hardly anybody left out there, but I'm sure there's somebody watching. All right, that being said, we're going to move back to our consent calendar. All right, we're going to move into number 1, the waive reading and title of
Madam
text.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. We have to move actually back to city council reports.
I knew that. Just checking if you were awake over there. Yeah, so we are going to move back to city council reports, and I'm sure my colleagues have wonderful things to pass. Stu, go ahead first.
All right, I believe I have a slide. Wait, do I?
This was your recap from
Yes,
the
okay.
one you attended?
The Journey concert. So we have the summer concert series. Journey is one of the most popular concerts, although the Taylor Swift concert 2 weeks ago was incredibly well attended also. So, and actually Cheese Whiz last week, the week before, was also very well attended. So it was like right in the middle, we had these massive concerts that have gone on. And so it was a fantastic concert. Chad Smith, who's the lead singer, he did an amazing job, as always. And then Thursday is John Depp's Full Effect, and that's more rhythm and blues. And then the Highwaymen show is basically country rock. So these next 2 weeks are going to be the finale of our summer concert series. So if you haven't been to one, please show up. If you like R&B, John Demp's is really, really good. So yeah, enjoy the summer concert series while it lasts.
Outstanding. Thanks for giving us that great update. All right, Matt. Matt hasn't. Oh.
I've said too much this evening. I'm good.
All righty. So he passes. Brendan, nothing. Zach.
Yes, I have a few things. So if Jonathan could run, I think the skate park reel is the first one. I wasn't planning on showing that video tonight, but the work out there is going so quickly. It's changing so rapidly. I thought it was important to kind of show that park, and obviously the community is really, really excited for the skate park. So just thanks to the Public Works team and the contractors that are out there working in the heat they're working in to get this thing done, building it. So it's looking good. All right. Next up, I had an opportunity to tour Symbio, which is a new company that's here in Temecula. And what they do is they retrofit these diesel trucks with fuel cells and creating like a cleaner environment in the process, right? And this is like, typically they use these for like drayage work, so like port, short haul stuff. But they're right here in Temecula, which was fantastic, right? So Symbio is a global player with operations in France, Switzerland, Germany, and obviously here in the United States, right here in Temecula. They have a 32,000 square foot facility that's designed to serve as an assembly plant, an innovation hub, and vehicle integration center. And when fully operational, it'll have the capacity to produce about 2,000 vehicles, 2,000 fuel cell powered systems, and about 250 vehicles each year. I think it's interesting right in our backyard that we have these wonderful cutting-edge, state-of-the-art corporations that are here doing good work. And some of the work that I do at UCR is around sustainable transportation, and in fact, they're already working with some of our waste haulers as well as the university working in this space. So that was quite an interesting tour to get to go up there. So wanted to share that with the public. All right, next slide. I also had an opportunity through our City Council discretionary funding to donate $5,000 to Habitat for Humanity Inland Valley, and we donated it specifically to the Restore. And I was in the Restore, which is now over on Jefferson, so it's the old Army-Navy store, right? They've rehabbed it, so now they have some freeway frontage and certainly more visibility. But I was talking to Tammy Marine about, sort of the impact of, what the Restore and Habitat in general has in our community. And she said a few things which I thought were interesting, and then I just sort of asked her to give me some bullet points. So Habitat for Humanity has 4 stores. They have the Temecula Restore, they have that design center on Vincent Moraga, they have a Lake Elsinore store, and they also run like an eBay, like a web store as well. One of the things that she highlights is that it's since 2008, these restores have diverted more than 18,000 tons of reusable materials from local landfills, giving like these donated items like a second life. So I thought that was really cool. And I don't think, I certainly didn't know this, the Temecula Restore has generated nearly $250,000 in sales tax revenue to the city just in the past 5 years. And when we think about the Habitat for Humanity, we don't think of them contributing in that way, right? So I thought that was interesting. They also, since 2008, the Restores have partnered with 6 local vocational rehabilitation agencies while also providing valuable work experience through workers' compensation, return-to-work programs, and court-ordered community services placement. And obviously, the work that they do in the community. They have more than 400 volunteers, many of them high school students that are completing much of their community service requirements. And then they also, which I think is fantastic, is they support also nonprofits in their space as well, right? So they're supporting fellow nonprofits. Over the past 2 years, 16 local nonprofit organizations have received Restore discount cards. So these nonprofits are able to go to the Restore and shop at a discount. And so it's just like maximizing those dollars. So when I have an opportunity to donate to Habitat through council discretionary funding, I'm going to do that every time. It is like fantastic. Tammy and her team do a great job. So kudos to them. And I think maybe I have one more slide. Yeah, just wanted to highlight this again. RTA is expanding bus service to Chaparral High School. We are working with RTA staff, Krista Morsinski, the CEO, to do a training day. So oftentimes parents and kids, they've never really ridden the bus before, especially public transportation. So we'll do these training days. And the goal is to do a training day on site at Chaparral, and that will lead up to the start date where students are picking up their books, or they're getting their schedules, or they're going to campus and things like that. This route will be completely free, and it's meant to capture some of the families that live up near Bella Vista Middle School. So you can think of like Port and Murrieta Hot Springs, where it's kind of in this difficult zone to get down to Chaparral. So we're hoping this route will boost ridership to Chaparral, taking a few extra cars off of Winchester, because the school drop-off loop is no joke. No one wants to be there, so let's not go there if we don't have to. So thank you, Madam Mayor. That is all.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And yes, if you have not been to the Restore, you absolutely need to go. They have everything. I believe our city manager's wife goes there quite often. Too much. All right. Well, I just have one item that I just want to put out there as to what just ended up occurring over this week, which was another great opportunity for our sister city and ourselves, not only to have a nice, friendly competition from last year, but really a way to pay back and just supporting our our active duty military who's overseas. So last year, many of you may recall that we ended up starting a little competition. It didn't start out that way, but it turned into a competition with Murrieta. And we were able to, amongst both cities, collect thousands upon thousands of items to be able to send overseas to our military active duty men and women. And it not only sparked an opportunity to help, but it also sparked this community to help one another and work together. And I just love seeing it. And then being able to package everything together. Well,
we did have a little bit of debt left, and it was from last year. And so Marietta wanted to point out on their shirts, if you can see it, it says they said, park cleaning debt paid, now you're debt free. So as of last year, the competition was whoever loses needs to clean the park of the other one for about an hour. And I think because of the heat, I think we were good for about a half an hour. We went out at the hottest time. But I just want to say thank you so much to Marietta for just being a part of this with our city. I want to thank the community. I want to thank the businesses, everybody who took part in that. But again, I also want to thank the council. All of you guys stepped up and just did something different. We tried something, and now this is actually blowing up even bigger to where it's going to be a county. It's a regional effort to where we're going to be doing a battle of the cities. So this effort is now going out throughout the entire Riverside area. So each city is going to be competing in this area, so we'll have more to come on that. But going back to just a quick thanks, I've had this opportunity now to sit in this seat and just work with 4 really awesome men that, Zach, we had a great time being able to do this thing together with Milvet. We were outside of supermarkets and at Walmart running around like crazy people, videotaping ourselves, just with the community. And so I just first off want to thank you. Thank you for coming out and cleaning the parks. And I want to thank each one of you other council members as well. It's been such a pleasure these last year plus to be able to work together as a team, kind of going back to the original quote that I had and looking at how we're just all trusting each other and working together. Maybe we don't always agree on the small things, but we're seeing each other come together as an incredible city council that people are looking at us like, who are these people? And what are you guys doing differently? And so I just want to say thank you guys for entrusting in each other. And then that even goes out to staff. Thank you guys. Aaron and Luke, you guys came out in the heat with our black shirts and cleaning up these little things of paper at someone else's park, but it was an opportunity again to connect. So again, let's just keep up the great work. Thank you guys for all that you do. Thank you guys for your knowledge. Thank you for your commitment to Hallmark. Thank you, Brendan, for all that you bring as well, just your passion. And Zach, thank you for always wanting to be a part of this community and just dig in. So I just love all you guys. I've loved being here, and I look forward to continuing this relationship amongst all of us. So, all right, no more mushy stuff. Okay, next, can we now go into council or consent calendar? Okay, I got approval. All right, moving in. Let's move into consent calendar number 1. Now that I got approval from my right, we're going to do the waive reading and title of text of all ordinances and resolutions included in the agenda. Number 2, approve action minutes of July 14, 2026. Number 3, approve list of demands. Number 4, adopt ordinances number 2026 through -05, amending titles 5, 8, 9, 10, and 17 of the Temecula Municipal Code, second reading. Number 5, approve financial statements for the third quarter ended in March 31st, 2026. Number 6, adopt resolution to establish the amount of the voter approved Measure C annual special tax levy for fiscal year 2026-2027. Approve recommendation for community services funding grant program for fiscal year 2026 through 27 at the request of subcommittee members Schwenk and Kalfas. Number 8, approve on-call agreements for public works professional services for fiscal year 2026 through 31. Number 9, approve agreements with Nicholas Belgerg, am I saying that right? And Rossetti AIA and Associates, Inc. for Civic Center and Old Town Parking Garage, Agricultural and Engineering Services. Number 10, award construction contract to Nieves General Engineering Incorporated for Americans with Disabilities Act ADA, Transition Plan Implementation -ADA Curb Ramp Replacement Phase 1, PW 24-07 rebid. Number 11, adopt a 2022 through 2027 local hazmat mitigation plan annex to the county multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan to the public safety element for the general plan to comply with Assembly Bill 2140. And I think that's it. Alrighty. With that, I would like to pull just for a staff report on number 6 and number 7 for a small discussion. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, move and second. All right, and that is a 5-0. If we can just get a staff report first for number 6, just to get an understanding so people have a better perspective of what we've been doing for years under Measure C, please.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Paula Majors, Fiscal Services Manager. I'm presenting on Measure C. Next slide. Measure C was approved as a Parks Lighting Services special tax by voters on March 4th, 1997. The levy provides funding for parks maintenance and Temecula Community Services District recreation programs, services, and facility operations. The levies are assessed through separate charges on property tax bills, and the rates are pursuant to City Ordinance 96-21. The fiscal year 26-27 Measure C levy is anticipated to generate $4,065,575 in total revenue. Next slide. I'm sorry, back one. Thank you. Property owners questioning the classification of their property or requesting a hardship appeal must submit their request by December 1st, 2026 to the City Clerk's office. Next slide, please. The Measure C rates $74.44 per single-family residence per year. It's unchanged from the prior year. $55.83 per multifamily residence per year, also unchanged from the prior year. $148.88 per acre of vacant property in a residential zone, unchanged from prior year. And $297.76 per acre of vacant property in a non-residential zone, unchanged from prior year. And just a note, the $4,065,575 will be split 50% to the general fund and 50% to the Temecula Community Services District.
All righty. Thank you very much. I appreciate that quick report. It just helps. I know a lot of times we have residents just asking about Measure C. So I just want to have a quick report so it's out there and can continue to share with what it is and what we're doing with it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. All righty, the last bit, I just wanted to pull for a quick discussion and seeing if I could just maybe look at something a little differently. I know on number 7 for discussion on this one, I had the opportunity 1 year to be able to be a part of this grant funding. I know myself and, what is your name? Ron. We were digging in as well in some other areas with some of the nonprofits. I just wanted to ask the council if they would consider something. Just one area, it really wouldn't change a whole lot. But I'm looking here and it said there's 2 nonprofits here that do incredible work within our community. One is the Thessalonica Family Services, DBA Mission Hope, which we do great work with them. We've been supporting them for many years. We just help them out, or they're helping us out as we help them with a big grant that we just ended up working with them on. But also the other one is Works of Mercy, and they're on the south end of town, and they do, the food distribution as well. They have a food pantry out there. And so just one of the things is I'm looking at right now, the Thessalonica Family Services had asked for $10,000, and we gave them the full $10,000. So needed, I know all of us are very passionate about the fact that food needs to be distributed, whether to individuals who are just having a hard time, maybe they're low income, and even homeless. I just had an opportunity this weekend to talk to a woman who was homeless who continuously visits Mission of Hope for their food bag on a monthly basis or on a daily basis just this weekend. So I know they do great work, but I'd also like to kind of spread that out across town. So I believe that the Mission of Hope area is more towards the north end, but I'm also wondering, is it possible also that we would look at taking 5,000 of that 10 and moving it over to the Works of Mercy, who do also food distribution on the south end of town. So I just wanted to just throw that out there as a possibility to be able to kind of expand the opportunities for people on the south end of town and maybe kind of mid to north end and be able to help out 2 different nonprofits. I just wanted to throw it out there to the council and see if that'd be something you'd be willing to be able to move around a little bit. Go for it.
I'm absolutely on board.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't on the subcommittee, but I understand the reasoning. Mission of Hope does remarkable work too, but it's a great idea if we can make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I just sort of want to address it. I'm on the subcommittee. Quite frankly, it's like the worst subcommittee to be on, honestly, because like you're going through this work and you're sort of looking. This year, we kind of had a different approach. We actually went and had a rough rubric and we sort of ranked everyone, right? And part of it was, have we worked with them in the past? And obviously Mission Hope, we've worked with them a ton. And so they get a lot of deference because we know the work that they're doing. I don't have the packet in front of me. I don't believe we've done work with Works of Mercy before. I'm not opposed to what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give you the rationale of what the work we're trying to do on that back end. And we also looked at buckets, right? Like we were trying to we did like a hierarchy of needs and we're like trying to make sure like food, children, mothers, like we did that sort of like exercise as well. So,
No, I get it. It is probably one of the hardest things to be able to not want to just give to everybody.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys and your time over there. Either way, I know Works of Mercy actually came to you and I believe at that time during our subcommittee when they were asking for funds. And they were telling us that they were doing some great work in the food that they're distributing to. So I figure, see how they go, give them a shot, give them a chance. So, but I appreciate it though.
yeah,
So
I'm fine with that as well.
you're good either way. Okay, easy street. Okay. All right, so can we move towards that? Does it sound like we have a consensus or?
We will need to take a motion on
Okay.
that particular one because you're changing with the staff recommendation under consent. So let's just go ahead and get a motion.
All right, and again, thank you, council, for looking into that and just giving it the opportunity. So I'd like to move forward with being able to bring over $5,000 to Works of Mercy to be able to give them some opportunities to distribute food to the south end of town. Do I have a motion? Do I?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was your motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion, second. All right.
Just to be
Wait,
clear,
wait, just to be
taking
clear.
5,000 from Mission Hope and giving it
Yes.
to Works of Mercy.
Yes.
That's the motion.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, yes. We good? All right, let's vote. Beautiful, 5-0. All right, thank you very much. All right, let's move on. Okay, at this point in time, we are going to recess the city council meeting to a scheduled meeting of the Temecula Community Services District, the successor agency to the Temecula Redevelopment Agency, and the Temecula Housing Authority and/or the Temecula Public Financing Authority. Let me see, and I will move that over to Councilmember Stu.
And I will open the meeting for the Temecula Community Service District meeting. Madam Secretary, please note we're all still here. Any public comments?
None.
All right, so we'll go on to consent calendar, which is item number 12, approve action minutes of July 14, 2026. And item 13, approve financial statement for the third quarter ending March 31st, 2026. May I have a motion?
Move to approval.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote. All right, and that passes 5-0 without a doubt. All right, so we have one public hearing, actually, item number 14, approved Temecula Community Services District proposed rates and charges for fiscal year 2026-27. May I have a staff report?
Good evening, City Council and TCSD Board. My name is Paula Majors, Fiscal Services Manager. I am presenting on the Temecula Community Services District service level rates and charges for fiscal year 26-27. The Temecula Community Services District provides a variety of services to city residents, including residential street lighting, perimeter landscaping, slope maintenance, recycling, refuse collection, and unpaved road maintenance within the city of Temecula. These services are collectively referred to as TCSD's service levels. Property owners only pay for the services used or made available to their property through separate charges on their property tax bills, which are calculated in the engineer's annual levy report prepared by the city's consulting firm, Webb Municipal Finance. And we have Charmaine McCarville and Nadia Benali in the audience with us. Thank you for sticking with us this evening. Their firm, Webb Municipal Finance, they're here today to answer any technical questions. At today's public hearing, staff is requesting the board to adopt the rates and charges established for each service level for fiscal year 26-27. Next slide, please. In accordance with Proposition 218, notices were mailed to all affected property owners 45 days prior to today's hearing. Collectively, it is estimated that the levies will generate approximately $13.8 million in total revenue across all 4 service levels. Property owners may request a hardship waiver or appeal the classification of their property and must submit their request by December 1st, 2026 to the city's finance department. Next slide. Rates for residential street lighting are proposed to remain unchanged from the current rates of $25.68 per single-family residence per year. There are a total of 29 zones within Service Level C, perimeter landscaping, and slope maintenance. 2 of those zones have annual inflators that were previously approved through property owner elections. And the fiscal year 26-27 rates reflect the lesser of CPI increase or 5%. With CPI at 3.28% this year, a 3.28% increase will be applied. Rates within the remaining 27 zones will remain unchanged from the prior year. Next slide, please. Rates for residential recycling and refuse services are calculated annually per the franchise agreement with CR&R. For fiscal year 26-27, the rate is proposed to increase $18.65 to a rate of $382.33 per household per year. The rate increase is a result of the 3.28% CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index increase, per the franchise agreement. Service Level R, unpaved street and road maintenance will remain unchanged from the prior year with a levy of $115.26 per single-family residence per year and $57.62 per vacant residential property. This concludes my report, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you. I do have a question. So Service Level B, is that a citywide charge, or is it only in areas that have street lights?
I will turn it over to our Director of Public Works, Ron Marino, to answer the question for you.
Yeah, so that's the residences and the APNs that are associated with our streetlights, so our annual maintenance, everything we do. So when we bring in a new development like Somers Bend, they must annex into the Service Level B if we're going to maintain those lights. If they are a private community, or if they have decorative lights that are different and we don't maintain them, they don't get annexed into the Service Level B.
So like Meadowview isn't in Service Level B because we have no streetlights, correct?
Correct.
Got it. All right. Any other questions? Right, seeing none, I will open the public hearing. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments? I will close the public hearing and we'll accept conversation or a motion.
Motion.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Please vote. All right, and that most likely passes 5-0. All right, so director report.
Yes.
Or general manager report.
Director.
Director, yeah.
Just one item. There we go. So everyone had the opportunity to meet our wonderful student delegation from Daisen Town, Japan this evening here at the beginning of the meeting. And we're so happy to have them here for the whole week. And on Saturday, we invite everyone to come to a free event at Temecula Valley Museum. It's our Culture Day featuring our sister city, Daisen Town. And that's going to be on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. over at Sam Hicks Monument Park, which is right in front of Temecula Valley Museum. So come on out, enjoy some snacks, music, and get to meet these kids who are just really exceptional. That's all.
All right, thank you. Now, general manager.
Nothing further tonight.
All right. So I will adjourn this meeting till the next one.
All righty, sir, and I will call to order the start of call to order the successor agency to the Temecula Redevelopment Agency. And we are all still here, I believe. So let's move into start of public comments. Do we have any public comments on non-agendized items? None. Okay, thank you. All right, start a consent calendar. We have one item for approval or to approve fiscal statement for the third quarter and March 31st, 2026.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, let's move. It's seconded. All right, and that's 5-0. SARTA Executive Director Report, anything?
Nothing tonight.
All right, and the SARTA Board of Directors in general. Anything to report? Nope. Okay. SARTA is adjourned. Next, we are going to move into, let me see, I have to do it, the TPFA. Public comment, or into this meeting for the Financial Authority. Do we have any public comments? Okay, seeing we have none, let's move in the TPFA consent calendar. We have one item, authorize fiscal year 2026-2027 special tax levies for the communities and facilities districts.
Move approval.
Second.
All righty, moved and approved, seconded. Okay. All right, 5-0. The TPFA Executive Director, do we have a report?
Nothing tonight.
Board of Directors, reports? All right, seeing as none, TPFA is adjourned. We are going to now reconvene the Temecula City Council for the public hearing. We're going to move into agenda item number 17, which should be one of our last ones. We are going to look at adopting a resolution and to introduce ordinance approving planning application number LR 26-0139 for the Uptown Temecula Specific Plan. And I believe Mr. Matt Peters, you have a staff report for us.
I'll turn this on over to Eric Jones, Senior Planner at the Community Development Department.
All righty. Sorry, you're not Matt, and you're not Matt.
I'm not Matt today, no. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. LR 26-0139 is really a series of cleanup amendments to the Uptown Temecula Specific Plan. Before I get into that, though, I just want to give a little background. The specific plan was originally adopted back in November of 2015. It's approximately 560 acres. It's developed as a form-based code similar to the Old Town Temecula Specific Plan. And a form-based code really gives us tools that we can use to create that walkable, urban-type environment that we're trying to achieve in Uptown Temecula. And since we've been working with it since 2015, we've seen some things that have worked, some things that haven't worked, some things that need some clarification that helps not only staff work with the document, but also the public as well when they're designing their projects. So that's really what we're trying to do, is just kind of clean it up a little bit. Before I get into those cleanups, what I'd like to do is just show an aerial here, a map of the specific plan. Boundaries here we have as well, just to kind of orient you to the areas we'll be talking about tonight. Now, the specific plan is really broken up into two sections. There's the specific plan itself, which I'll talk about in just a few minutes, but there's also the streetscape and sidewalk improvement standards. There's going to be a series of amendments to this document as well, and I'm just going to kind of go just through the chapters. It's the best way to keep it organized. So starting off with Chapter 3, the design standards, and Chapter 4, the appendices, we're basically going to be modifying the document so we can call out the bloodgood as the type of sycamore tree we want to use. It has the right type of shading, has the right type of root system that works really well in the application where we're trying to apply it. We're also going to be amending the sidewalk type standards of the different finishes we can have. Take a look here at the bottom. This is a sheet right out of the current document as it is. And we're going to be removing the exposed aggregate finish, which is this one right here that the arrow is pointing to. And the reason we're doing this is because as it's been applied, we've seen it just doesn't visually have the same look that we were really hoping for. It's just not working. So we're going to remove it from the specific plan. We're also going to remove language related to the silvicelles for the tree plantings in the street. The silvicelle, if you take a look here at the arrow, what it's pointing at, it's that kind of column structure along the bottom. It's really designed to help the roots spread out, but it's proven problematic when you install it. You've got the built environment already out there, all the utilities are pretty much in and whatnot, and we try to put these things in, they just conflict. They also require maintenance. So for that reason, we're going to remove the silvet cells and just get right back into the root barriers that we all pretty much know. Which makes more sense. With regard to pedestrian lights and street lights, we do like the design that's out there, but unfortunately they're too short. There's been some instances of people hanging off them. So what we're going to do is take the same exact street light and we're just going to raise it up about 5 feet, and that's what you see here. So it's the same design, just a little bit taller. Now we'll get into specific plan amendments. So starting off with Chapter 2, we're going to add a note to the phase compliance matrix that will prevent piecemealing projects. And what that basically is going to do is it's going to say that any additions or modifications, that's just part of the cumulative project over its entire life. So that way we don't have the piecemealing that some folks have tried to do, but we've never allowed it. For the land use matrix, we're going to amend it to include all of the live entertainment ordinance information that we all know, that when people are looking through the specific plan, trying to design their project, they can see right away, oh, there's a live entertainment ordinance I need to pay attention to. So they find out about it right away. With regard to bicycle parking, right now there really is no requirements in the specific plan. So we're going to include a requirement in there to have 10% of parking be for bicycles. So that could be done with racks or bicycle lockers, things of that nature. The specific plan is intended to be more walkable, a little higher density, so having more bicycle parking provisions is appropriate. With regard to Chapter 3, the land use development standards, we're going to be changing the street cross sections, and we're going to be replacing those. Right here on the left of your screen, this is what's in the specific plan. As you can see, it's very generic. It does have some dimensions. Unfortunately, they're not entirely accurate. It comes down to, again, the built environment's already there, and as we've been working with the specific plan, we've seen the limitations of what's in there. So we're going to swap them out. We're going to change them. Here's a couple examples here on the right to what you see here. And this is much more graphically pleasing. It allows you to really see what the intent is of those street segments. And also, those dimensions there that you see at the bottom, they're now accurate. We're going to also include a requirement for a road alignment study for when projects come in that require the inclusion of new streets. And when those new streets come in, we're going to have a new naming convention. So it's going to kind of tag off of what we have in Old Town, where those streets that are more east-west, they're First Street, Second Street, Third Street, so on and so forth, they move on with that numeric numbering as you go into Uptown, just continuing on the numbering. Streets that are more north-south, those are going to be more themed to the district, so an important person or an important something or other that's related to the district will be incorporated into the street name. We're going to have to do a few changes to terminology, and I'll just put these up here really quick. The word hypothetical has been used a few times in the specific plan. I'll give a few examples of it here. The first bullet there, hypothetical street grid. We want to change that to proposed. Because what we found is happening is when developers see hypothetical, they translate that to we don't have to do it. So changing the word to proposed just takes that conversation off the table. We're also going to add language to the plan that basically states you can't have any utilities there in the public right-of-way where folks are trying to walk. We're trying to create the environment that you see down there in this photo, and we can't do that if we have vents and pedestals and transformers and whatnot in the way. We're also going to modify a few graphics in a specific plan. Some of them, unfortunately, are not quite as accurate as we'd like them to be, so we're going to swap those out and change those. We're also going to do some more term changes here. We're going to replace tall arcade with high arcade. They're both used in the document, so switching it to one is more appropriate. We're going to stick with the high arcade. Presentation stopped. I only have a few more slides, I promise. I don't know what happened to my presentation.
I'll take a moment, that's fine. See Jonathan and Chris working diligently back there. There we go.
Okay, here we go. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I spoke about that. here we go. So we're going to also modify a few other exhibits, exhibits 5.3 and 5.4. Again, we have an incorrect exhibit in there. The building was not put in the right location. What you see here before you, this is the correct location. You can see the columns there on the property line. That's where it needs to be. So we're swapping those out. For utilities, we're adding language that's requiring early consultation with utilities. This goes back to that whole notion of not wanting to have inappropriate utilities in the right-of-way. And then with regard to streetlights, just some language in here, just standardizing the 60-foot interval for the different streetlights. And that's the end of the amendments. This project was brought before two subcommittees, City Council, Uptown Temecula Ad Hoc Subcommittee reviewed it back in March. It also went to Planning Commission Subcommittee, the Uptown Temecula Specific Plan Subcommittee, back in April. Both subcommittees were supportive of the amendments. Ultimately went to Planning Commission back on May 6th. And the commission recommended council approval. From a CEQA perspective, an EIR addendum was created in response to guidelines with section 15164. And based on the information I just presented, staff recommends the City Council approve the amendments as well as the associated EIR addendum. That concludes our presentation. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Any questions from council?
Just one question.
Yes, sir.
Could you go back to the slide with the new developments and the addition of the 10% bike parking spaces? So is that a 10% in addition to the parking?
Yeah, so let's just say they had to have 100 parking spaces, then you have to have 10 bicycle spaces. That's basically what that is.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Very good. Thank you very much for your time and your help.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. So thank you for your great presentation. We're going to open the public hearing. Do we have any public comments? We're then going to close the public hearing, and I'd like to move on to either discussion or motion.
Move to approval.
All right, let's vote. All right, and that gets approved 5-0. All right, continue to move through. So we end up doing, we took 18 and 19 both out of order into the front of the meeting. Next, just departmental reports are all going to be for 2020 through 23, or receive and file. Madam Clerk, am I missing anything before we move on? All right, we're going to keep going. Last bit for items for future City Council agenda items. Is there anything from my colleagues?
I'm going to have one.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I was at an RTA meeting the other day and was chatting with a councilwoman from the city of Paris about the recent ordinance that they adopted, or the process they're starting to ban data centers within their communities. I would like to ask the city manager's office and the city attorney to look into a similar ban or even a moratorium with data centers in our community. I don't think that there's like a short-term sort of like concern, but I think long-term it's something we need to look at, and I'd like us to do just that. So I'd like your support to have the city manager's office look into that and can bring it back for future discussion.
Put that for a motion. Unless somebody wants to talk about it.
I'll second the motion.
All right, let's go to vote. Thank you for bringing that forward.
Of course.
All right, and that's a 5-0 move to another meeting. Okay. Let's see, we got that. All right, next one, city manager report.
Madam Mayor, just one quick item. When we were coming down to this meeting earlier today, we got some good news regarding the freeway, and I just kind of wanted to report out regarding the Caltrans Oxlane project. So unbeknownst to us, without much advance notice, southbound I-15 Rancho Cal to Temecula Parkway is open. Yes. So that ox lane is free-flowing. We witnessed it as we were walking down. That's great news. Also opening this week, I believe this is from Caltrans, southbound I-15 Winchester to Rancho Cal is expected to be open. And then also, hopefully opening this week, northbound I-15 Rancho Cal Road to Winchester Road will be open. So that's great news. We got social media posts that may have already gone out. There will be some night work that's going to continue on this project through August. But with these new lanes and wider shoulders and expanded on-ramps, I mean, I'm hopeful that we'll immediately feel the difference there. So some good news.
Excellent news, thank you, and I'm sure we're all going to post out about that. All right, next, city attorney report. Do we have anything?
Nothing, Madam Mayor.
All righty, and thank you for coming with us today and hanging out. All righty, that being said, before I adjourn, I just want to just say a quick thank you to Jonathan and Chris in the back. They always hide out, they're in the back, but they do such great work, and I don't think they ever get noticed, even when things go crazy. So gentlemen, great work always, but you guys are incredible. So thank you very much. All right, with that being said, we are adjourned to our next city council meeting held on Tuesday, August 11th, closed session at 2, and our session will be commencing at 3 p.m. See you all then.